Hey, how you all doing? Welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name's Peter Howard, senior writer for the Dynasty League Football Forum website. Yeah, I might be done. I might quit. Breakouts have broken me. I think I'm out. I think I'm out. A player that's literally done nothing at running back is more likely to break into the top 12 in their second career season than someone who's had the career of, say, DeAndre Swift. I think breakouts have broken me. I do not like them. Let's go talk to Zach for a while. Like, that's it. Just wrap it up. Let's have a retirement show. That's what we're doing tonight. I quit. Zach's gone. Zach's literally left the chat, I guess. Where's Zach? How's everyone doing? I think Zach Exon's logged out, so it's just me. So I'm going to turn on music, go single screen, and we'll talk about it, I guess. How's everyone doing? Got a lot of questions already. Why don't you just stalling, hoping that Zach comes in? All right. Eric, who has two left thumbs and excited for the Dynasty Grind today. Thanks very much, man. Appreciate it. Got it or Brait if Gronk does not return. Yeah, I don't think there's any instance in where I'd take Brait over Gronk or Goddard for that matter. Goddard's actually talking about those breakout trends. Goddard's actually entering a fairly common like top 5 breakout year for tight ends. I think he's already had a top 5 season. But it doesn't matter. It's actually a pretty common season for their production to rise. And so I think Goddard's actually a pretty interesting ad right now. Zach, how you doing? Where did you go? Don't do that again.
My computer locked up as soon as I said, "Hey, we gotta start the show." My computer locked solid, and I was like, "Okay, well, let's restart. We'll get there." But good to see you again. Good to see everybody in the chat.
Yeah, we've Eric's saying he's excited for today, and I ask Goddard or Brait if Gronk does not return. I can't imagine being interested in Brait.
Goddard, yeah, 100% Goddard.
Like, I don't know. So many players go through this arc where everyone's higher on them than me, and then everyone gives up. Because you should give up early. It's this weird thing where they hit what everyone's saying they could hit, but then everyone remembers that it's more disappointing than they were hoping. And I'm like, oh yeah, they hit that floor, so I like him a little bit, and everyone gives up. Like, Goddard did what you all thought he could do with Ertz on the team. Like, he didn't need Ertz to leave, which is what I said, because targets don't work like that. And then everyone's like, oh, he's back. Oh, I don't like him now. Like, you know what I mean? It's a hard thing to phrase the way you all get what you want, and then you're like, this guy sucks. I'll take Cameron Brate over him. Like, what?
And especially
not you, Eric.
Especially when people are talking tight ends, because tight ends are inherently disappointing outside of the top 4 or 5. I mean, depending on, for a while it was 3, then we got 4. Now we got Pitts in the mix, so there are 5. Like, but outside of that, it's inherently disappointing, and everyone thought Goddard was going to be the next Hawkinson, Kelsey, whatever.
He was the next Hawkinson.
Yeah, but everyone thought Hawkinson was going to be better. Everyone thought Fant was going to be better. Everyone thought Ingram was going to be. It's just what we do with tight ends.
Yeah, he's got 2 top 12 seasons, no top 5. I think he can do that this year.
Yeah,
pretty easy. Thoughts on leagues that still play DSTs? I mean, it's fine. It's whatever. There's no form of league where I'm like, that's stupid. You shouldn't do that, except for maybe like tight end premium. Maybe that. So yeah, if it's fun, that's the way I played redraft. That's the only way I ever played redraft, and it was fun. You know, it was nice to be interested in the defense, but I didn't have to mess with that inconsistent scoring of defensive players.
I don't think that I'm in any dynasty leagues that still have defense on rosters, but I'm not necessarily against it. I think that it can be fun. I think that a couple of years ago, New England's defense broke leagues because they were scoring quarterback points as a defense. Like I was in Kyle Lebrecht, his family has a redraft league, and for a while I got considered family, and so I was in that in the year that the Patriots defense was so good. I had them, and it was a cheat code where you basically played two quarterbacks, but that's pretty rare. So whatever, Eric. If you like it, play in that league. If you don't, try to convince your league mates to get rid of it.
I would prefer playing DSTs and like 4 IDP positions, because that's not enough for an IDP league, really. So it's just kind of like pretending that you do IDP if you just have a couple IDP players, you know. I know IDP needs to stop bitching that everyone won't play IDP until they figure out their scoring system. How about that? How about you present me a scoring system that in some way makes sense, and then complain that we're not playing about it? Fix yourself before you start telling me to fix me.
IDP. I just came up with this metaphor, but IDP is Indian food, where people think they know what Indian food is, but if you actually understand, like there are like 50 different areas that have different 50 different regions that have different foods and different ingredients and different types, and like what we think of as Indian food is Punjabi, like mostly, but you, like when somebody says curry, like curry doesn't mean anything except for it's a spice mix, and all of these different regions have their own different spice mix, and you're just like, it's all these different IDP leagues have their own scoring and their own, and it's like, it's just overwhelming. You gotta streamline.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get over some sort of hurdle where the best players don't score the fewest points.
Yeah.
Like, let me root for the studs, and then maybe be interested. But having said that, yeah, just went and had Indian food. Like, that's always my food of choice when I get the option.
Sounds amazing, Peter. Let's go.
And they took me to the movies, I guess, for Father's Day, but really it's because my son wanted to see his girlfriend, and I happened to be off that day. And then maybe watch a movie that I didn't want to see. So I was like, we're gonna go have some Indian food. So we went to the Indian restaurant, and it was awesome, and I'm gonna eat all the leftovers. It's the best food. So I don't know IDP is Indian food, because I like Indian food just fine. Silence of the Lamb, 12 teams Superflex, Mahomes, JT, Brees, Olave, Lamar, CMC, Justin Jefferson, and Godwin. I mean, it's just CMC and Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah, I mean, Godwin's okay. He'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's a points player.
Yeah, that one's tough. I think I lean toward the Justin Jefferson side, but if I am, I guess you're competing if you got that side. No, let's take the Mahomes. I talked myself into it. Let's take the Mahomes, JT, Brees, Olave side and go win, and see if you can package Olave with something and get another player scoring points, and then we'll really lay the hammer into him.
See, I think if you're competing, you want the CMC and Jefferson side, and if you're interested in value, like, you want the Jefferson side. So I just take that side.
What, you don't think that you're competing with Mahomes, who is perennially top 5 quarterback, JT, who is going to be a top 2 or 3 running back, Brees Hall, who should be a top 15 running back,
12.
Yeah. So and then like I said,
no,
I'm going to trade.
Yeah, you're competing, but I don't think the different. I think if CMC is playing, he kicks a snot at whoever has JT. Like, I don't care how good JT is. If you have a healthy CMC for a year, you win.
Yeah.
Lamar to Mahomes, okay, I'll give the edge to Mahomes there for sure, but it's not as big as the difference between CMC and JT. And Jefferson to Olave, like, get at it.
Well, like, and you got Brees.
That's not.
But you got Brees Hall too. You got another top 12 running back. So you got two top 12 running backs. I don't know. This one's close.
No, it's fine that it's close. The other team's got youth. You'll find more people that are interested in trading for JT and Brees Hall than CMC. by himself. So in that way, yeah, but it's the value side, and I feel pretty good with Jefferson if that's the only value I walk away from. But I get it. And Zach gets stuff right too every now and again. So right.
That one time.
BJ Lee, 1 quarterback, 12 team, 23 first or Bateman?
I want the first. I'm
getting this question a lot in different ways. And I feel like I'm disappointing everyone because I think people ask me the question when they want to hear the phrase "players over mystery boats." But you keep asking me about mystery boats.
Yeah,
like Cortland Sutton was the latest one. And I had to say probably late in the first, but Sutton and Bateman are both still kind of mystery, less of a mystery, but also no value decrease, more people interested in trading for it. So it balances out for me.
That's the thing is Bateman. There is a range of outcomes where Bateman is worth a 23 first, and there's a range of outcomes where he is not. Yeah. The 23 first, the range of outcomes is it's worth a 23 first.
Pretty much.
So
first,
yeah. That's where I lean and
like a good rookie player, which Bateman now is, should be worth more than a random first. The difference is, and again, I'm normally the first one to get tired of this narrative, but 23 firsts are different. Yeah. And it's not because I know that because I've looked at the class. It's because I've been through the 3 different times. And even if it's not true, because we get too many players wrong, because you could have drafted Jerry Jeudy with the last time this happened.
Right.
The pick's value is real. That's what I'm banking on here. It's not necessarily that I can pick a player with that random first. It's that I can probably do as well with that random first in a year as I could with Bateman right now. So there's a lot more safety baked in. Thoughts on Aj Dillon this year and beyond? He's hopefully going to start to get hyped up so I can start buying Aaron Jones again instead. But right now, he looks like he's going into a really important year. Did well last year. It's actually more relevant that he hasn't hit the top 24 yet. Again, to go down to the nightmare that is my life right now. The reason all content has dried up is because I'm trying to find some level of waiting for likely breakouts, and I'm just failing. But yeah, as long as his price is where it's at, if someone's asking you for a first for him, just no. But the point is that if you're getting him for less than that, he's a really pretty good, strong candidate. Having said that, the minute his price does go up, I'll be telling you Aaron Jones is the guy. So I know Dynasty's weird, and I just said both things as if I'm smart. I get both, but both are really good values right now. Ultimately, if you're playing for 2022, I think it's Aaron Jones. Yeah. But if an injury happens, I think Aj Dillon could really be a great value.
And they should be, I mean, that should be a solid, like Aaron Jones should be a top 12 running back, and Aj Dillon should be a top 24 running back. And you're pretty happy with that as a secondary piece. I mean, if you went out and paid a 23 first for Aj Dillon, Joe Webb, I'm sorry, but if you got Aj Dillon for value right now, then yeah, you're gonna be happy with him. You got a really solid running back too, with a little bit of upside in the event of an Aaron Jones injury, or they decide to run a little bit more in the red zone than traditionally Aaron Rodgers has run. So,
yeah, this is like the breakout train frustration I'm going through. It's not that all backup running backs are top 12 running backs and must-adds. It's that Aj Dillon in particular is going into a really good career, having shown some good signs that he can take on a role. Now, the minute it becomes about his quads, you just sell him for those quads. Get it first. Because that Aaron Jones, this is one of those pairings that continually frustrates me with why people won't, like, this player looks drastically different to this really good player. That means I like him. You get how weird that sounds to me. Like, he looks nothing like this really good proven player. It's bad. That he's bigger and has bigger quads, just in my head is like, wow, he's not similar. But right now, they're both good at values, and Aj Dillon's a really good player to hold on your roster. If nothing else, I really think his value is going to shoot up. ETN style. Like, it was ETN, now it's Aj Dillon. Like, someone's going to get a hold of those quad pictures again, and it's going to go off. And he could also be a good player, so I don't hate him. You just traded for him. Again, as long as it's less than a first, I honestly think it's a good bet for this year. Even if it's just his value is going to probably increase at some point. Dots on a Judy.
Yeah, it is Judy, but that's gross. Like it's, and I don't feel confident in Judy, or as confident in Judy as I did before. I do think that we talked a little bit before the show. We had a Cortland Sutton moment, Peter. You and I. We looked across the computer and we locked eyes and had a moment with Cortland Sutton. And I think if Cortland Sutton does as well this year as I think he does, that's good for Judy, which sounds counterintuitive, but I think it is. I think Judy is that number one from the wide receiver 2 player. I don't think he is a 1, but I think he's a volume guy underneath with somebody like Sutton making plays downfield.
I haven't been able to delve back into this one because, again, I'm just trying to go down so many rabbit holes right now. I'm losing track. But one of the things I'm always reminded of is why I continue to stick way too close to my rookie evaluations. It's because all of those one-and-done players, all of those players that got high PFF ranks and looked like they were going to break out but didn't really do it, if I just stuck to my rookie rankings every time, or at least my rookie profiles more than the rankings because they suck, I wouldn't have been fooled by any of them. As it was, I came in on LaVisca a little bit because his first year was more than I thought he was going to do. Shouldn't have. I didn't come all the way in. In fact, I got out really quick. Jerry Jeudy, the same thing. He was kind of borderline for me. His first season was kind of borderline, but his PFF grades and his yards per route run, which correlates to breakout less than points per game, by the way. Just stop throwing yards per route run in my face. It does not matter for what you're looking for, as far as I can tell. Yeah, if I just stuck with what I already knew of them instead of going, okay, I can be wrong, I would have been right more often. So I spent most of this offseason learning to listen and adjust and be humble. And the closer I get to the season, the more I remember, no, I should just stick to what I think. Like Chase Claypool just kept not believing. Worked out, didn't it? And most of those one-and-done players, Cortland Sutton is an exception, actually. I kind of liked him on the way in. So was Devontae Parker. But yeah, I just think Jerry Jeudy, I mean, maybe he's just a really effective football player and not so much a fantasy football player. I think that's fine to say at this point. I'd rather expect Sutton to get the bump at this point.
Yep.
Said at this point 7 times in that sentence last count, by the way. Giddy up. What up? ETM plus what for Monty? Ooh, no, you could get Monty plus for ETM right now. And I think that's a good trade if you could do that right now. That's why we liked ETN earlier, because he was undervalued and now the hype's really starting to grow, so you can do that kind of trade. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. So in DLF's May ADP, they were back-to-back 18 and 19. So I expect
he's higher now.
Yeah, right ETN is on the rocket to the moon. I tweeted that out at you the other day. They had the first video of him doing the ladder drill, and ETN looks fast, and everyone is all excited. So I'm with you. Giddy up. You should be able to get Montgomery plus for ETN, probably like a second or a third.
No,
it's not going to be a lot, but hang on to ETN because that's still going higher. You should be able to get something better than David Montgomery, younger than David Montgomery for ETN, getting closer to the season, I think.
No, I saw like 3 or 4 tweets in a row talking about basically, how these incredibly talented analysts call everyone else out for being idiots for not liking ETN enough. I'm like, 3 months behind, but welcome to the club. I wonder what happened. And then in my DMs, it was Zach's with little with ETN's workout video. I was like, yep, there it is. It is.
Yep.
It's like
I mean,
old hat at this point.
I would say when you've been around this long, you can see it coming. It's like that guy tipping off his curveball, and you're just sitting on it waiting. You know it's coming.
I don't know what that's like at all, but I do know what this is like. And Giddy up, to be real clear, I think I said it, but like ETN should be worth more than Monty right now, which is why you should try this trade, but you shouldn't be adding to ETN for Monty. You should get Monty plus. And same with Mixon. Frankly, you should get a plus on Mixon for ETN right now. Probably less likely to get that, but I wouldn't do it the other way. Nicholas J, how do you gauge trading a defense in Dynasty? Don't really play in them. Like I said, I played DSTs when I was starting off and did a lot of redraft leagues on ESPN. But
yeah, and I don't know. I don't know that I've ever traded a defense. I know that if it's I treat them a little bit like a quarterback in one quarterback leagues, I guess. If somebody wants to part with like a rookie second round pick or a third round, like I'm okay with that. Like I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I have a great go talk to this person if you're talking about kickers, defenses. Fantasy Pros has a table. I think 4for4 has defensive rankings as well. So that's another option.
And the landscape with defenses changed so much year to year too. Like that's
it's kind of wild.
So yeah, I don't have a good answer for you, Nick. I'm sorry. I wish I did, but I don't.
From what I remember, there are difference-making defenses every year. There are 2 or 3 that really make a difference to your team, but it is fairly consistent year over year, and so they're relatively not worth having the same value the following season. So you trade them if they were good, as a general rule. But again, don't play with them. What side you like for Dynasty contender? Breece Hall, guessing, and Keenan Allen or Najee Harris?
I'm
trying to think of a reason not to take the Hall side.
No, I think
I like Najee Harris a lot, but
I think that's the side I'm on because you still end up with a top 12 running back, and Keenan Allen is going to be good at least for this year, probably this year and next, and so for a contender, I'm doubling up, and I don't think Najee Harris outscores Breece Hall by as much as Keenan Allen gives you over your wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, and Keenan Allen and that ilk of wide receiver are starting to age out. It's not something I say every year, like everyone else I hate, but it is something I'll say every 10 years, and that's kind of where we're at with the 2014 class, 2015. So yeah, it's a good time to do it. I would say this is someone undervaluing Najee Harris, but also undervaluing Keenan Allen, and so it balances out to good. By the way, what's up, guys? Wednesday DLF. Appreciate it, Nicholas. Grant G. Hey, guys, could you rank Dobbins, Gibson, Jacobs in both Dynasty and Redraft? Well, with Redraft, I'm just going to say what happens in 2022 rather than having any particular Dynasty knowledge. Do you want to go? I've got to look that up.
Yeah, in Redraft, I would have it Gibson, Jacobs, Dobbins. And in Dynasty, I would have it Gibson, Dobbins, Jacobs. Because I'm more confident that Dobbins is a better long-term player than Jacobs. I think Jacobs, you've seen him not get the option picked up. You've seen them draft a decent running back to be paired with him in Zamir White. Not that Zamir White is going to come in and take over that backfield from Jacobs, but and the other two again are more proven pass catchers. Even though Gibson has ceded some touches to RB1 J.D. McKissick, and Dobbins is in that backfield where Lamar Jackson is doing a lot of his short dump offs. Instead of throwing to the running back, he's actually running himself. That's the way I do it. So it's Gibson, Dobbins, Jacobs in Dynasty, Gibson, Jacobs, Dobbins in Redraft.
I'm surprised how low Josh Jacobs is in redraft rankings. He's like running back 23 right now in Underdog. That's surprising. They're meant to be the ones that correct the dynasty trend, and here they're exacerbating it. So I don't know what to make of that, because personally, my rankings say it's Gibson, Dobbins, and Jacobs based on consensus ranks. So Gibson, Dobbins, Jacobs in redraft. I think Jacobs belongs on the top. I think it's Jacobs, Gibson, and Dobbins probably. And in Dynasty, I don't care. All three sell them at their value, but like Dobbins is the only one you can get that value for. So the other two are fine. Dobbins is one I'd sell. So I guess I'll put Dobbins on top of both of them, and all three are sells. Like, I don't think Jacobs is a top 12. That's why I'd put him ahead in redraft. I think Gibson was there in like the worst running back season ever last year.
Yeah, they were back to back. Gibson was 12 and Jacobs was 13 last year in PPR.
Yeah. So Odom, they're not difference-making running backs to me. They're very highly valuable, top 24, like top-end, top 24 running backs, but mostly the value is always going to be worth more to me than their points. So I tend to trade them, but for a good deal.
Like trade them for Fournette and a young receiver if you're in Dynasty.
That's kind of the way I go, yeah. So yeah, my Dynasty rankings are always a little weird like that. I don't have straight up doesn't make sense. I have to give context. Giddy up, half point. Start Tennessee's Superflex.
No, start 10 Superflex.
Start Tennessee Superflex. You can only start Tennessee quarterback.
I want Knoxville then in my flex.
Yeah, start 10 Superflex. Swift or 2 seconds or J-Day a third and a fourth.
Jefferson.
Yeah, it's just Jefferson.
Yep.
I think I'm the lowest man on DeAndre Swift ever.
No, and like I like DeAndre Swift, but here's how I play running backs though, and Swift is kind of in that, and Jonathan Taylor too, where like I will draft a running back in a rookie draft, I will use them for 2 years, and then I will make a trade like this where I trade for a young, proven wide receiver while that running back still has value. And now I have a young, proven wide receiver for the next 4 or 5 years, and I can start drafting running backs again. That's just how I play Dynasty. And so this is exactly the type of trade that I would make to go acquire Jefferson at this point. And I like that for your side of it.
I think I would add. Yeah, I mean, that's the ideal, right? But here's the thing. Like, running backs and wide receivers have about the same length of career arc. It's remarkably overstating the difference. I think Dynasty proper does. The difference here is that JJ is from the class right now, wide receiver. Swift is just from a class. He's going to have a couple relevant years, but he's not going to be like a 2017 running back and be relevant for the next 10 years. He's not that type of back, in my opinion. But yeah, he's fine. But that might be, navel gazing it a little bit. But that's where I'm at. That's what I do. Gavin Grant, Pittman, and Akers, or Waddle, Miles Sanders, Justin Ross. Justin Ross isn't a factor here as much as that's painful to say. You're getting, will he be blinded by all the hype of Justin Ross here a little bit? I think it's just straight up I'd take Waddle and Sanders, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how much you like Akers. I'm always breaking ties in trades again, this is what I just said, but in trades in a long-standing league or in a league that's outside of the rookie draft toward wide receivers. And so Waddle is the best wide receiver. I don't think that Akers over Sanders gives me enough of a lift to go the other side of that. So I'm taking the Waddle side as well.
I will say that I think there's a lot of upside in Akers, but you're paying for it here would be the way I'd say it. Like you're paying for a top 12 running back when right now he's not ranked that way. Miles Sanders is not even ranked as a top 24 running back right now, to be fair. But I think we can all admit that's just a little bit of it. No, everyone knows the upside isn't there.
The points are probably on the Pittman Akers side, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I definitely think the points are on the Pittman and Akers side. I just don't think it matters. Just want Waddle. There is a chance that Akers' points could make it worth it. So I think it's a fairly balanced trade, is what I'm saying. But like what Zach said, I'm just going to lean safe. It's okay if they get it right. Then power to them. Let's do it 10 times more and see where we're at. So that tends to be the way I play Dynasty. If I do this 10 times in a row, will I win more often than not? And so I'll lean the Waddle side.
I'd be curious how much you'd have to put with Akers to get Waddle, because I would love to have the Pittman Waddle. Like, that would be exciting to me because you don't have the worry about Akers coming back. You don't have the meh with Miles Sanders. I would wonder what I could put with Akers to get Waddle. So instead of making the big blockbuster trade, maybe
you keep Akers, you get Waddle. That's
break
smart.
it down. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be a good way of, if you're looking for a counter, just try and get Waddle without giving up Akers. Or wait, whichever way you said.
I said I want the Pittman side, but if you want to do the other way, that's fine too. I get your hate for Pittman runs deep.
Oh, all things Pittman. I've hated him since he was a young man, and no, yeah, I don't know. 12-team Superflex start 10. Penny, Jacoby Myers. Nice to see that name again. Point season must be getting closer. 23 first or Hunt Mooney and a 23 second. I think
it's the first.
The first beats the second. Mooney's really nice to get in this deal.
It's still the first for me. Like,
yeah, it's a first for Mooney. So yeah.
Like Mooney is the centerpiece of that other side, but I'd still take the first.
Yeah. And Mooney's good, but yeah, straight up even, and you just lean the first side. Better chance to take over and become the running back one for that. Don't do this to me. For NFL team in a couple years. Can I see the roster? Spiller taking over for Eckler or Hassan? Oh, come on. Spiller taking over for Eckler is much more likely. Yeah. Neither of them are very likely.
Yeah.
Don't ask me likelihood questions. I'm too broken. Olave and Michael Thomas this year.
Jarvis Landry.
Same value. I don't know. MT's problem isn't anything. It's does he have a foot, and we don't know, I guess.
No.
Or does he want to play football, and we don't know that either, I guess. I don't know. I don't think they're valued anywhere close to each other, though, right? MT's values drop so low.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to
check
go
for me.
I can pull that up for you, Peter, while you talk and give me a little bit of
we need a Russ Fisher on this show, someone who's always ready and willing to look up ADP. Olave, I like him a lot. I don't want to like players in this class. I know there are good players here. I spent the first half of the offseason explaining how this is a bad class and everyone's going to say it, but there are at least two players you're desperately going to want on your fantasy team for the next 10 years from this class. So don't discount it too much. But the reason this is a bad class is I don't know who the fuck they are. So unless I'm getting them real discounted, I'm like, I'd take last year's players or next year's players. Like I just kind of want to shift my risk around that way.
So get this, Michael Thomas going wide receiver 30 in May ADP from DLF, and Olave going wide receiver 35. So Michael Thomas is actually going ahead of Olave by 5 receivers.
This is a year I lean young wide receivers as well. So I guess it's Olave, and I still
think it's Jarvis Landry. I think you're going to see a Jarvis Landry resurgence.
See if he'll throw Jarvis Landry in on top. That's fine.
Did you see his one-handed?
I'm good with that.
I almost messaged you that the other day. He had a one-handed catch. I know
how
much that counts in your one-handed catch metric.
Yards per one-handed catch. It's an important one.
One-handed catch per team pass attempt.
On leap years. 12-team Dynasty Superflex, half-point PPR. On a rebuild team, would you rather have Gabe Davis? No. Or Pickens. I'll take Pickens. Thanks.
Yeah, it's probably. Although I think you might be able to trade Gabe. You might be able to trade Gabe Davis for more than what you can Pickens. So maybe it's the Gabe Davis and then trade Gabe Davis.
Yeah. See, here's the thing, Zach. I'm being flippant to emphasize how much I would give up Gabe Davis, but that's the reason is the realistic value of Gabe Davis on Keep Trade Cut on Dynasty League football, who tends to lag behind hype candidates like this. All of them. They're like, oh yeah, Gabe Davis is easily the same as a first-round wide receiver this year. I'm like, I will sell for that value. This is a late 22nd first and a third for Gabe Davis, which technically is a little low. But even here, I'll be like, yeah, give me the pick inside. I'm fine with that. And we have been lagging behind on what is Gabe Davis now? He's 4th year, right?
man.
I shouldn't ask you questions. I keep forgetting.
Shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Gabe Davis is playing in his 4th career year plus, and he's had a really good career so far. Like, I don't rank NFL. I'm not ranking whether he's good at football. He's in the NFL. He's probably pretty good at football. I don't think he's who people hope he can be. I don't think players break out in their 4th career year after having produced what Gabe Davis has done. That doesn't happen relatively rarely.
He's going into 3rd.
Okay. We're actually underhitting later and unusual career year breakouts, which would be Gabe Davis this year. So this is a year to bet on it, honestly. But I think he's just a really good NFL player. I don't think he's a wide receiver 2 on a good offense that's better than other teams' wide receiver 1s, which is where he's currently ranked. He can be great this year as a player and even as a part-time fantasy asset without ballooning up to where his value is right now.
Well,
Higgins is a little bit of a mystery if he can stay on the field, but I'll take it.
Davis is the type of player that if I've got on my roster, I'm going to try to trade him before the season starts, because I think that's when the shine comes off the slipper, as it were.
Pardon for my language today, by the way. I don't know what's going on. It's like I have no language skills. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day trying to figure out what people do on there, so maybe I can make a good one every now and again, because I've started to try and make them. Don't make fun of me too much. I'm trying my best, okay? I saw Matt Waldman doing a video on how literally on the tape, Gabe Davis is good, not great. He's not who everyone thinks. He thinks he excelled with the role he was given to him, not he excelled in a role and therefore his role will expand. Like literally that's what he's saying. So I don't think even he's great, you're just not watching takes that get thrown at me a lot are true. I don't think they're true. I think one of the most honest evaluators on this issue I could probably hope to come across have said what I've said, but while using tape. So I think I'm good being on the anti-Gabe Davis trade. Having said that, I've been told off by people in my DMs because teams are telling them literally that Gabe Davis is great and he's going to get a boost. So, take it for what it's worth. But this little unknown idiot thinks that maybe we're exaggerating his potential this year.
But Peter, you had 4 touchdowns in a playoff game on an island that everybody watched.
Exactly. I'm looking it up. I don't know why I'm so stuck in on this because this is one of the things where Gabe Davis breakout potential. This is one of those things after the season, everyone's like, well, you didn't tell me that before the season. I'm like, I told you this in his fucking rookie year. You just weren't listening. So I want to say this real clear. And if he hits, I'll fully take the loss. I'm rooting for Gabe Davis. I love these type of players. I want them to succeed, which is why I dig into breakouts so much this much. But only 32% of breakouts, above where he's already produced, have his level of production. That's the vast majority who break out above where he's already been, have better production than him to this point in his career. And that's for a per game basis, on a points per game basis, on a yards per team pass attempt basis, on a career year and draft capital basis, adjusted for the fact that his draft capital is somewhat later than others. Yeah, he's drafted in the 4th round. So technically his chance of breaking out a little later, right now, is elevated. 70% of players would have already done it by now. Just saying. I still haven't figured out how to do that calculation exactly right, but that's pretty close. It's as close as I've gotten so far. No problem, bud. I love Najee, but Keenan Allen is a glorified PPR monster. Why wouldn't we glorify PPR monsters in fantasy football? That's who we should glorify. Breece Hall, here's a huge...
No, I think he's using it. I think he means that. Yeah, bona fide. I think it's bona fide that we're there. Yeah.
I just like to be angry at stuff.
Don't be angry, Peter. Woosa, woosa,
woosa. No, yeah. I realized the other day that this whole class has made I want to be all in on Hall and Burks, obviously, but I want so little to do with this class. I'm staying away from Hall and Burks as well, and I hate it. I love Burks. I really think the hype on him has been diminished for stupid reasons.
all the David Bell, Peter, all the David Bell, all
That's
the
all I
George
got.
Pickens. Like
That's
I'm
basically
getting
what I
Pickens
got.
and David Bell in like the early second and being very happy.
That's where I'm at. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I hate it, but like, anyway. Paul Cicero, I'm in a league where one guy just traded Lockett and Landry for a second and 25. How ridiculous is that? That's pretty ridiculous.
Lockett and Landry so bad for a second. That would be awesome.
He couldn't even get a 24 second. You know what I mean? Like, especially Lockett. Like Landry, I get it. It would be a fairly unusual return to previous form, but it happens now and again.
It's
and Landry's
happening, Peter. It's happening.
Sure. But Lockett, he just he hasn't stopped yet. He's mid-career breaking. Like that's like trading Landry in the middle of what he was doing for a second. Plus, fucking Andre Johnson, whoever. That's weird. Carry on.
No, I think Landry outscores Lockett this year. I do.
Just all in on that. I like it. What are you trading? Like, Max, what are you giving for Landry? If everyone's going to leave this chat and go send out Landry offers, what are you putting in there to guarantee you get him?
Man, I don't think you have to, I don't think you have to put much
I didn't
at all.
Say have to. I said guarantee you get him.
Oh, I mean, I'd throw a second for Landry, but I think, and that would get it easy, but I think you can get Landry for a third. I really do.
I think it is worth trying.
Most people are out on him, and I think that it's at least quasi obvious that most of Landry's woes the last couple of years have been the fact that Baker Mayfield couldn't hit me if he was 6 feet away from me.
Okay. Maybe. Yeah. So everyone go trade a third for Landry, and then next year we either get to applaud Zach or we get to blame you. That's how we have fun either way. That's the way I do it. Rank them: Bateman, Claypool, Gabe Davis, Judy. Bateman, I guess. Bateman, Judy, Davis, Claypool. Like I'm really out on Claypool.
Yeah. Davis probably is so. I think value-wise, it's probably Bateman, Davis. I prefer Judy to Davis, so I'm with you, Peter. I would go Bateman, Judy, Davis, Claypool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the value on Davis right now, the community is so high on him.
Where are you on Ayuk? Not to sweep you here, but
so I think Ayuk is being undervalued right now. I don't love Ayuk, but I like him as a player, and I like the situation he's in, and I like that most people are off Ayuk because Debo was a monster.
Yeah.
So that pushes Ayuk down. I think he's a value.
Here's the thing. Claypool and Ayuk have a similar breakout potential if you use last year's points per game to assess productivity. If you use their average, Ayuk is like significantly more likely because he had like a 15 points per game rookie season and last year he was 10 points per game. And if you're over 11 points per game, you're in like a 70% hit group. So like, can I just lie and say I'm using the same thing, but actually using two different things to actually make it reasonable? Like that's the kind of question that I'm coming across right now. I'll take my answer off here. Kevin Grant, 16-team Superflex. Wow, monster. I moved Pickens, McKissick, and a third for Josh Palmer, a first. Yes, all day. And a 16-team, that first is big. Yeah.
Yep.
Thoughts on Barkley this year? I don't know how to say it. Like, if there's anyone within the range of my voice that doesn't know Saquon Barkley is a screaming value, then they're not listening or they're already convinced themselves otherwise. Because, like, everyone on my timeline, whether they agree me, like me, or the other way around, whether I like them, everyone I ever see on Twitter is talking about how much of a genius we all are because we know Barkley's a value. But if we all know it, then who the hell's drafting them in the third round? You know what I mean? It's Barkley is a screaming value this year. Full stop. But I don't know who doesn't know that. I don't know how he's falling to the third if there isn't some reasonable analysis outside of what we all hear amongst ourselves. It's hard to believe it's all just the injury concern, but I guess that's what it is.
Right. I mean, he's one of what, 4? I guess Derrick Henry can do it because he did it last year, but one of 4 or 5 running backs that can average over 24 PPR fantasy points a game.
Yeah.
Like there aren't very many of those, and he is
2,000 yards as a rookie.
Yeah,
like 2,000.
Yeah. And the question though is kind of prognosticating, and I don't know how you can do this where it's like, is he going to ball out or is he going to bust? Like that, there's so much to that. There's so many layers. Like, yes, he got hurt the last couple of years. He had
players don't want to do that.
And then he had a high ankle sprain. That's not great. But if you're looking at, can he be a difference-making running back? If he's healthy, absolutely yes. Saquon Barkley can be a difference-making running back if healthy.
Risk versus reward, he's a league winner, to use a common phrase that has no exact definition, so I get to claim victory as long as he's healthy. But, like, third round ADP is crazy. Like, I started taking him in the second because he's never there for me when I get to the third. I don't know how he is a third round ADP. It's just like that one guy every 10 drafts, I guess, is taking him somehow later. And I don't know what the distribution is. But, like, even in the second round, healthy Barkley is difference making.
Yeah.
But he's going where I hoped McCaffrey was going to, but McCaffrey, no one's fooled on it, and Barkley, everyone apparently is somewhat. But he's a running back, and they can always get injured, and the Giants suck. Not to put too fine a point on it, but and all of that is a problem. But that was all true for him in his rookie year when he was the guy that he can be if he's healthy. So that's where we're at. Yeah, running backs always carry that extra risk because they win you your league or they lose you your league, and they more often do the second one. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. No, sorry, I'm gonna move on. But that question really does confuse me right now. Like, if everyone's screaming buy, but no one's buying, some of us lying to everyone else. Like, I'm gonna tell them buy, but actually not draft him. I don't know. Better RB coming off injury, Dobbins or ETN? ETN.
Yeah, and specifically because of their
upside,
and the roles on their team. Like, I think ETN is going to be a pass catcher for Jacksonville this year, and a substantial pass catcher. And I don't think that the offense in Baltimore lends itself to having a running back being a uber productive pass catcher. So even though I think ETN is a better running back, like in the NFL context, I think ETN is the guy.
You think Dobbins is a better running
back? Did I say ETN twice? Yeah, I think Dobbins is a better running back. I think in an NFL context, Dobbins is a better running back. In fantasy football, it's ETN. It's the pass catcher. That's where the points are. It's almost 3 times as valuable having a target than it is a carry. It's like 2.8 something. That was.
I think there is an interesting point to point out. I agree fully with Zach on this, but I like saying things. I'm going to say things. Ravens should become a lot more rushing heavy this year. Like, not necessarily what they were 2 years previously, but more than last year. And that kind of thing would lean you towards Dobbins having that kind of upside without having that presence in the receiving game. The reason it balances out is Lamar Jackson's at least a significant part of that rushing game. So it doesn't. Like, in any other situation, maybe, but not in this one. Like, and again, I would even say, even though I have no idea, that, Dobbins is probably better. Like 6 yards per carry, bruh, as if that means anything. But I'm pretty convinced for the people that say it that he is actually supremely good. I'm sure glad I don't have to know that kind of thing. Just because there's question marks around ETN's role and there's more certainty in what Dobbins' role is because we've seen it, that means the upside is inherently with Dobbins, with ETN. See, I did it too. I know that's gonna make you feel icky and confused because it makes me feel icky and confused in the same way that like someone like Ramondre Stevenson has a higher likelihood to break out into the top 12 this year than DeAndre Swift, because DeAndre Swift has had the role and hasn't hit in the top 12 yet. So technically there's more mystery around Ramondre Stevenson. It's the same logic, but feels worse. Fortunately, as is the case in this instance, they're cost adjusted. So I'll still take ETN. Yo, guys, great show as usual. Really appreciate that, Ridley Truth. I really appreciate that you say that before you even know what the show's like. People say that knowing we're not going to get to it for an hour. So they're going to need encouragement by the time they get here. I'm just going to throw that in.
These guys are way off the rails. We'll try to bring them back with a little praise. Yeah.
By now, they're probably going, because they're predicting an hour out. It's pretty cool. And a 12-round, 12-team Superflex, 1 PPR point, 2.75. Oh, Jesus Christ. I need a break. 12 round, premium? 12 team, tight end premium with 2.75. Is that the premium for the tight end?
That's a big premium, yeah. So it's like a full 1.75 points on top of
yeah. For everyone. And it's a startup. I'm going to remember that. Trying to contend in year one. Good plan. Would you add tight ends like Ingram, Gronk, Everett? I tell you what, 2.75, yeah, I'd probably add more depth tight ends than I'm used to adding. I think Ingram's a really good target. I don't play the retirement game. I'm not overly wowed by Gronk. Everett, no. I still don't bet on guys who are less likely to do anything. I think he's a good player, but it's not what we're looking for. I think what you'd have to do, because I've never looked at 2.75, is go figure out where the switchover is. How much more flex valuable does this make tight ends? In every scoring system that I've seen, it's not enough to really expect that I'm going to be playing a tight end in my flex. But you would have to run the numbers, see where the switchover is.
This is so Russ, his leagues are the 1.75 tight end premium. So this similar thing. And what I have found, and I wish, Ridley Truther, I wish we'd got you earlier than round 12, because what I have found is people still tend to undervalue a little bit those top tight ends. And so when I am in a startup that has this premium, I end up with Andrews, Kelsey, Waller, Pitts, that type of, and I will at least get 2 and sometimes 3, depending on what the league will let me do as far as trading back in. And so what I would do if I were you in this 12th round is I would go filter the tight ends, and then I would go look up tight end targets and receptions, and just see if there's somebody who piques your interest there that you may not think of necessarily. I mean, there may be somebody even better than Evan Ingram still available that you don't think of as being that guy, because in a regular tight end format where they're not getting this premium, that doesn't matter. But that may pop over a wide receiver 3.
I still like Ingram even in a regular format. That's why I'm interested in him. Other players that might be falling down around there, maybe Hooper, depending on if the heights hit your league. Yeah, that's the only guy I can think down there. But yeah, I think Zach's plan's a good one. What is the earliest you would draft Kenny Pickett in a 14-team Superflex rookie-only draft?
14-team, take him, I don't know that I would take him. Well, I mean, 105 is not out of the realm in a 14-team, because quarterbacks are at quite a premium.
Let's see. Let's run it. We've got Breece Hall.
Yep.
I wouldn't draft him over Breece Hall. Wouldn't draft him over Treylon Burks. Wilson, I'm assuming, is above it for you.
Yeah.
I give you that if you'll give me who's the other guy? Drake London. And then it's 5. So yeah, 5th max, probably as high as.
Yeah, I don't mind taking him there in a 14-team, Tommy. You can't make me feel great about it, but value wise, and getting that quarterback in a 14-team super flex where there are at least there are 28 quarterbacks starting, which means that all of the starting quarterbacks are rostered, and Kenny Pickett has a chance to be a starter this year and will probably be a starter going forward. You might as well go get that.
I tell you what, 14-team Superflex this year. I mean, yeah, Pickett, sure, do that. But I honestly think like Matt Corral, like the quarterbacks who are somewhat being underdrafted this year because no one thinks they're going to be particularly relevant. Like that's where my mind goes in a 14-teamer. If they get discounted, like I'd take them in the second round. Just because the quarterbacks are so much rarer in that 14-team format. So that's where my mind kind of goes, like Matt Corral. Maybe Willis too. Really truth that. On a contender 12-team 1.75 tight end premium PPR Superflex. Would you rather Monty or Judy? Monty.
I think I'd rather have Montgomery. Yeah. Which is sad, but
June. It doesn't matter.
Ridley Truther, back to your last question, real quick. If Zach Ertz is still there, go draft Zach Ertz and be very happy about it. Sorry, he's in that same range of kind of the derelict tight ends that people want to forget about, but Ertz is going to see targets. Taysom Hill is another one that is back to tight end that may actually be reasonable.
Sure. There's enough premium in 2.75. I'm not going to pull too funny of a face, but it is funny. Ramondre plus Laviska. Just cross out Laviska's name, by the way. I don't. It doesn't matter. Or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 12-team start 9. That's pretty even for me, actually.
Yep.
I'm both higher on CEH and Ramondre than most, I would imagine. So,
I think it's
got a preference,
man. I think it's the CEH side, but it's close enough that I'm not batting an eye either way.
Yeah, I lean CEH, just offense, if nothing else. But yeah.
Well, and I'm pretty
Laviska
sure
doesn't move the needle for me. Is my point.
I'm pretty sure that I can start CEH week to week, and Ramondre, while Ramondre Stevens has had boom weeks, like it's really difficult to predict what's going to happen with the Patriots running back room. Damien Harris is still pretty good. James White is back. They drafted 2 guys. Like it's just a mess. And it's not that Ramondre Stevenson is bad. He played pretty well. He's really big. He's taking ballet lessons this offseason to become a better pass catcher for whatever that's worth. Like but I still think CEH is the guy that I'm going to be able to play. And I know I'm going to be able to play.
Laviska here, adding Laviska to the trade is acknowledging that Ramondre needs a plus. Yeah. And my answer is give me whatever else. Like, give me the third that Laviska's worth. Give me the second. Give me my favorite tight end sleeper. Laviska shouldn't be... I mean, it's just a plus for the sake of having a plus. That's why I'm... Other than... If it's just this trade, CEH. Whatever. Thoughts on Russell Gage? Similar to Gabe Davis, but the hype isn't that bad. I mean, he has potential, and he should be somewhat fantasy relevant. I don't think he's going to cross into that threshold of being like one of the fantasy top 24 that we're all excited about. But, I mean, yeah. Wide receiver 2 on a team that's occasionally going to be star-worthy. No?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't know. He's okay. He's not a player that's ever going to move the needle for me. And
see, this is the part that gets me silence. It's like wide receiver 2 with Godwin out. It's like, no, he wouldn't. Godwin there, Godwin not there. Calvin Johnson on the team helping him catch the ball. He's not a wide receiver 2.
So this is what's
fantasy on a team, sure.
This is what's going to happen is Jareth Stearns is going to make that team out of training camp, undrafted free agent, Peter. So he matters to you, and all of a sudden is going to take over that wide receiver 2 role, maybe wide receiver 3, but out of the slot and just going to eat, and nobody's going to see it coming. I actually had correspondence like he's added to MFL now. Jareth Stearns is on MFL, so
nice.
I took him in the sixth. We have a 6th round of a rookie draft in my home league, and I took him in the 6th. So there, you heard it here first.
Yeah, that's fair. Russell Gage is one of those players we keep expecting them to. Now they've got their opportunity. They're going to grow in. Like, players don't progress. The NFL isn't in the business of making kids' dreams come true. They'd rather just cut them and see them starve. Like, the NFL does not care about players. Like, they're not developing them so they can hit their true potential. Like, they would have done it. They would have done it while he was there. Like, if they could get that out of him, they would have got that out. Having said that, it's not like Russell Gage isn't like a professional athlete and can surprise me. I'm talking about where our expectations should be based on what we've seen happen over and over and over again. And if you think your eyes are personally more talented than fucking everyone, and therefore you can see that he's better than every other great wide receiver who's done great but never quite hit, Godwin status, and sure, go for it. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I can tell you on average, no, he just doesn't. He's just not a fantasy wide receiver too. He doesn't co-opt that target share. He doesn't perform on it that well. I see the current Ken Walker and Rashad Penny. I love the spelling of Rashad here. Right? That's wrong. That's a PA Howdy special.
You need another A. Rashad.
Yeah. Situation similar to Javonte Gordon's situation. No. I don't.
I mean, it's a less talented Javonte.
That's what my mind's getting stuck on here. Like, I can see that being, in the same way me and you are a discount, two other good people on a better podcast that everyone likes. I guess it's the same balance, but we're not as good. And I think that's what we've got here. It's strongly discounted. All that would mean is that both become not fantasy relevant, to be clear. Like, the reason Javonte and Gordon are both fantasy relevant is because they're so good in that situation.
But Adam's saying that he's seeing Walker with the potential to come in and be the starter with injuries to Penny. That's your which I can't bring myself to do that. I will draft players in it with the knowledge that could happen, but I'm not drafting players hoping that other players get hurt. Like, that doesn't track with me. So, I guess if, Penny's leg injury, if he still has a hamstring thing, or if he still has, whatever's going on with him in preseason, Walker's going to see more snaps, but that offense is not going to score. It's not. That is going to be the ugliest offense in the NFL. And I don't want the running back who is not a great pass catcher or hasn't been a proven pass catcher. Sorry. I'll have that stricken from the record. I rescind. But not a proven pass catcher on a bad offense that's probably not going to be in the red zone very much. They weren't even in the red zone that much with Russell Wilson. He's just so damn efficient that they scored. Yeah.
Maybe Pete Carroll is a secret, high T genius.
Sorry.
Who's just been red pilling the shit out of all us nerds. And the reason the team was so good is because of him and not the fact that he has one of the most efficient quarterbacks drafted at almost no cost and did nothing with it that the league has ever seen.
They won a Super Bowl.
Maybe an offense run this badly without that sucks. Yeah. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Get locked in, baby.
I would love it if not. I'd love if Pete Carroll was actually secretly I can just run on anyone. I think it had more to do with Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. I think that was the reason. But maybe it's Pete Carroll. In my rookie draft. No, I'm not going to Rashad Penny's top 12 upside. We're not doing it. Eric, in my rookie draft, I took Damien Pierce early, 13th. Overall, it feels reasonable, just outside the first round. That seems all right. Is the only running back in Houston kind of a Yeah, kind of a thing. That's true. I'm not saying I'd take him, but it's kind of where he's getting taken. Yeah. All right. You caught me. Then I should use late round rookie picks for Kyron Williams, Conte Ingram, Pierre Strong. Just lots of running backs. Which should I have the most optimism
I mean,
for?
Pierce is the guy you should be most optimistic about because he's in the clearest situation to touches. Yeah. I think Ingram with an injury could be fun, but you're not wishing an injury on James Conner, especially. I really enjoy James Conner, just the whole of James Conner, but it's Damien Pierce.
We're stuck in having to have receipts and be geniuses who like know what's going to happen, and then the reality of it. It's like I was getting questions about Wan'Dale Robinson in my Discord the other day. It's like, shouldn't you be higher on him because that's the exact sort of guy you like? I was like, yeah, but I figured out that the reason I feel like I meant to rank him like 4th overall is because of, frankly, idiots who go back through their takes and manicure them to make it sound like they knew that Kenny Golladay should have been drafted 3rd overall. They didn't. They just knew to like him a little better than most, and that's all you needed to do. But then they want to sound like they were ultra geniuses who predicted that he would be.
Peter, I want you to
everything that has signal.
I want you to go to Twitter.
This is what
I want you to search the hashtag all the Golladay. All the Golladay.
But that's like David Bell. Like I want all the David Bell. But I'm not going to tell you to draft him over Treylon Burks and then all go back through my tweets to make it, or my takes to make it sound like I knew David Bell was more likely to hit than Treylon Burks, if that was to happen. And I think this is what sometimes when we look back and forward, we get a little bit mixed. The reason Pierce is drafted earlier and those guys are later drafted picks is reasonably you should have a lot more optimism for Pierce. Now, that doesn't mean Keontae Ingram can't be the gem of this litter, but you drafted well here, man. I think you should feel confidence in the way that you drafted. And so in terms of running back ranks, again, like we said, we probably would have taken David Bell there, but like you seem to have drafted well. Yeah, have optimism in the order that you took him. That's sensible. Ken Walker as a young Nick Chubb changed my mind. No. All right.
Nick Chubb was
a lot better.
Yeah,
everywhere ever.
1,500 yards as a freshman, 750 yards with a knee injury as a sophomore, 1,100 yards coming back off a knee injury as a junior, 1,300 as a senior. Like Nick Chubb is really good.
He's really, really good. But yeah. Let's see if we can de-tierify the Ken Walker cape for a minute.
Like Walker's fine. He's the best runner in this class, but this is
that's what I want to be. Yeah, he's the best runner in this class has been translated into the best runner ever. It's like, nah, fam.
Yeah, it's a bad class.
Let's look at rush yards per team rush attempt. A really weird stat I did just to try and get some sanity checks on, that. People talking about how great of a rush he was, and I wanted some way to put that into context because I don't watch and I don't know who's talented and I don't care, but I kept hearing it. So I thought I'd look at a way of comparing how effective and productive they were in the rushing game between conferences and between eras and all that kind of shit. He said, desperately trying to find it. I can find the best, last, and average, but where's the yearly? Yeah, Nick Chubb is like 3 times as productive on the ground, like in any given year.
And had more receptions, or as many receptions as a freshman as Kenny Walker had in his career, and we're still saying Nick Chubb is not going to be the best receiver on his team. Like, look, Walker's fine. He's the second running back off the board in this class, but you should be taking a bunch of wide receivers ahead of him, before he comes off the board, because this class is down. It's not a great class.
First year, Kenneth Walker had 1.1 rushing yards per team rush attempt. Nick Chubb with 3.3. It's literally 3 times as much. Now, Walker did improve towards the end of his career. He finished it out with like 3.8, which is where you see he was incredibly effective on the ground. Right. But again, that's after 2 years of development as the oldest that most running backs play on as a running back while on the depth chart. And Nick Chubb's average is higher than him as well. And he was as effective like the first day he stepped onto a field at 18 years old. He didn't need all that extra bulk and training in the weight room to get there. Like, yeah, it's not that Ken Walker wasn't a great running back. But if you're gonna try and compare apples to apples, like Nick Chubb was better. He was better at rushing the ball in college. Yeah. Having said that, no, not even in the NFL. The reason Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb in the NFL is because he's got Kareem Hunt, who's literally taking up the receiving workload there.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not what Ken Walker's facing either. So, I don't get it. It's just not where I'm at. But hey, man, if you like the player, don't let me chop you. I've been wrong so many times. Rookie draft: Pierce, Spiller, Talbot. Which you take? I guess is a question.
I think I would rather have Spiller. I think Pierce probably for this year. I think Spiller's a better running back, and then Talbert's like down. Damn. Jalen Talbert's easy 3 for me, and the first 2 are tough. Pierce is probably hitting the ground running. Pardon the pun. In terms of like being a back who gets some carries for Houston. I think Spiller's a better player.
Hate that, though.
Hate what?
Sorry. He's gonna get all the touches. It's too.
I don't think he gets all the touches, but I think he gets more touches than Spiller, who's in a backfield with that.
Yeah.
But I think Spiller's a better player.
Let's see. I have Pierce probably realistically too low, but let's see. It goes Spiller. I can't even find the other 2 for me. It's been a while since I looked at my rookie ranks. Okay, and apparently I like Talbot a lot as well, but he's below Spiller. Where did I put Pierce? Did I rank him? Feels like I ranked him.
I don't know. I got him around the 210, 211 in a 12-teamer. So
right there. Why can't I? Oh, because I've got him in like the 4th round. Yeah, I have Pierce below all of them, and that's probably untrue. I honestly, when I ranked him, profile Pierce isn't that impressive, but he's a running back, so do I believe he's going to be the running back 1 on that team, and therefore more likely to get more touches and score more points? Yes. Probably, but I've got it Spiller, Talbot, Pierce. That's probably just a misrank about them. Which means I'm taking Spiller. He says pick 1.
Yep, and we both did. So
and although I do like Talbot, like I take Spiller above him. So, do you trade Fab? Any tips? I mean, not in leagues where it makes sense to compare. Like some John Bosch leagues, there's money that's worth stuff. But it's not Fab. Yeah, John Bosch leagues. So no, not really.
I don't really bother with it because I don't feel like it's worth very much. Like I don't feel like people value it, so it's hard to use as a currency. I would rather spend it on a player and then trade the player than try to trade free agent budget. But if look, Adam, if you're in a league where people value it, like.
That's what I was going to say. Whether the rules or the players mean that it has value, then I would. But I think that's exactly it. 24 hours says, I am the shit. Ooh, that's a bad word. I can't finish that one.
He's got a point.
Bruce Mattson. I've heard of him.
It's Bruce.
He does. Ranker top 5 candy bars, chocolate only.
Man, I don't. A Reese's Fast Break. I don't eat very many candy bars. Reese's. Sorry.
I mean, I tell you what, I'd eat Cadbury's above anything made in America. Although Cadbury's is technically an American chocolate company now as well. You all don't put enough sugar in it. Weirdly, like if you're gonna have a treat, have some sugar. I'm just saying. Cadbury's chocolate is better. So yeah, Cadbury's anything over, and then maybe Hershey. I only know the two. I know Cadbury's and I know Hershey's. So 1 and 2.
What?
There you go. I don't.
That was a fail. We didn't do very well on that one, Peter.
Did not. Don't eat candy. Maybe know your audience, Bruce. Maybe don't ask people who don't eat sweet questions.
Bruce,
ask us about grill food or something.
No, if he had given me like your top 5 flavors of gelato, I would have been able to rattle that off like, bang, bang, bang. But candy bars, like
I like ice cream.
The only time I have candy bars is when I'm having a really bad day at work and I'll walk all the way down to the other end of the building and I know that a Reese's Fast Break is 147 on the vending machine and then it falls down. And then I eat it. I hate myself as I eat the Reese's Fast Break on the way back to my desk.
I guess that's the number one then. I don't know. Silence the Lamb. Baker gets traded to Carolina. Does that help improve the value of their skill players? We're talking about this. Carolina and DJ Moore on the Discord today. Like, I hate myself for it, but at this point, I have to admit some of it is DJ Moore. And now someone did raise a good point. Jay Bright about Julio Jones. He was spoken about in much the same way, but I think that's different. I think people are unfairly criticizing Julio's touchdown rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas DJ Moore that's his touchdown rate. That's what he does. It's not that he's not great wide receiver, but the way I said it was if like AJ Brown and AJ Green and like any other player that's stuck with a mediocre to below average quarterback can find touchdowns, even Julio Jones for that matter, then at some point this far in, that's just a feature of his role or his game. And it doesn't make him bad, but it does explain why players kind of don't escalate in potential too often. Now, you put him with Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to stick to that take. But I mean, anything above exceptional, at this point, I don't think it's about the quarterback. I think that's a feature of DJ Moore outside of extreme swings. Like if Russell Wilson went to Carolina, I don't think Baker trade changes that too much.
Also, I think there would be a quarterback competition between Corral and Mayfield if Mayfield ended up in Carolina. Like Mayfield's a bottom third NFL starting quarterback.
I have to look that up now because I was we were talking about that in Discord, and I was like, I'm gonna go look up DJ Moore. Then again, we were talking the other day about wide receivers who break out and then never break out again, and I was like, I should go look that up, and I never did. So I'm probably just.
But yeah,
like rabbit holes.
Baker's better than Darnold. So yes, better than Darnold for McCaffrey and DJ Moore, but it not like exponentially.
You see,
better.
DJ Moore's been I like the Julio comparison. That was interesting to me. But the other part about that is like Julio was a constantly top 12 wide receiver. Like that exaggerates the point for me. Like, yeah, you don't need it. Like if you're a top 12 wide receiver, you don't need it. You make it another way. Whereas DJ Moore, like saying he's a top 12 wide receiver without the touchdowns, at some point it's just kind of it's excuse making. You can admit he's good and not as good as he could have been in fantasy, or I don't know. Aaron Rodgers will go there next year, and Jacob Rickroad will argue me with touchdown rates, I guess. But put it this way, we were talking about this last time when Teddy Bridgewater went there, and Jacob was on me about that. Like Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have the touchdown capacity that DJ Moore needs. I'm like, but he did for Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Like, that's the part that doesn't make sense to me. The receivers matter at a certain point. And if you're consistently seeing the receiver not be able to do it with multiple QBs, even one that had Thielen and Diggs at one point going off at the same time, maybe that's where we draw the line. That's just a feature of their game as well. But ultimately, Silence, what we're saying, we need a much bigger swing. Like, we're not even sure Baker starts if he goes there. So I shouldn't have gotten into this. Paul Cicero, all the experts. Yeah, I'm just kind of talking shit today. I apologize for that. I'm throwing around everyone else. I know, I'm in that mood. AFC West being in shootouts every week. Should we get more excited about skilled players on those teams? Not outside of you should overweight good players on good teams. Like I want Cincinnati players because that's a great team, great quarterback. It's not like, and the schedule makes me want them more. And that feels like double counting to me. The reason they're all going to be in shootouts is because they're all good players on good teams, right? That makes sense?
I mean,
Like, I think that's baked in. You know what I mean?
You want players in good offenses.
Yeah. This came up, I know, a lot of questions coming out tonight remind me of other conversations I've had today and meant to do some research on and then didn't. So I'm just mentioning them. Who was it? Someone was like, oh, that was it. Deontay Johnson. They were asking me why I had so much of him in best ball, and I was like, he's just at the end of the third round. I'm normally going wide receiver there, and I take him over DJ Moore because he's had that top 12 upside. Speaking of DJ Moore. And they're like, shouldn't you target good players and good teams? I'm like, within reason, you know? It's like, I can understand wanting T. Higgins, the wide receiver 2, more than the Jets wide receiver 1. You know? Or more than most teams wide receiver 1. But like Deontay's been top 12 on that offense while it's poor recently. Like, I'm not sure that's the same thing, if you know what I mean.
But I mean, with this, like the AFC West, you want but you're talking the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Chargers. Like those are all teams that you want players on anyway. Like I don't know that it like
the Broncos might come at a discount, but yeah.
Well, but they've got Russell Wilson now. I'm like that offense should be better. Like it should be better. So, man, like. To me, it's not so much. I mean, like, yes, it's the AFC West, but it's not that it's the AFC West. It's that it happens to be those 4 teams that you have wanted players from for the last. I mean, they've been good the last 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. Mahomes is there, Herbert's there, Russell Wilson is there, and Derek Carr with weapons is there. I mean, Derek Carr will sling it. I don't think he's.
I know there's some bleed over to double counting, and like this almost feels like a stacking argument. Like it's true, but there's another conversation we're having today. If you're basically saying if you get everything right, then you should draft these players who do these things, couldn't you just take your rankings because you're already getting anything right?
Yeah.
Like you would need to get everything right, that the AAC is in a shootout every week, that this is a teams, and these are the players on those teams that are going to be involved in those shootouts. Then your rankings are probably highly accurate, and you could just use your rankings. If you're already getting everything right, get everything right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like these are already teams that, well, that's what I'm saying. These are already teams that have been identified. So like everybody talking about the AFC West being in shootouts. Well, yeah, they have been for the last, like since Herbert was drafted and Mahomes was drafted and I mean Russell Wilson is there now. This is good.
Yeah, it's like a way of saying you want Herbert and Mahomes receivers.
Yeah.
But like you can say it twice because you've got a new way of saying it.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I'm holding 11th first, okay, in 23 and 24. Should I be waiting to sell the picks? Sell now, gather?
It depends on what you can get for them. I mean, if you can get people
to trade,
if
you add value, you look for good trades.
Yeah, if you can get people to overpay for those picks, then great. If not, people will overpay for them the closer they get to the 23 draft. Like that's just how it's going to be. We're going to crescendo here sometime around April, end of April.
That's actually May. The part I was gonna, in order not to make it so whatever, do whatever, because that is the actual answer. That's 100% right here. But to make it sound like it's more actionable, it's when those picks peak in value. Now in your league, that's going to be different times, which is what Zach's telling you. But I'm going to pretend that we know for a fact that's going to happen. You know, a month before the draft, around there, or on the clock is actually. On average, probably the most common time. So if you can, mostly you're just hold. I'm going to go ahead and guess if you've got 11 picks, your team's not overly competitive. You're not like a couple players away from winning, which means you shouldn't be overly invested in trading for points anyway. So just continue to wait until you get the best possible trade. And that's, like Zach said, it's going to be closer that we get, the more likely that is. My Dynasty League was discussing how long rookie timer should be. It's 5 minutes right now. I need a solid 24 hours, okay? I am not good at being on the clock. And I used to hate people that sat on the clock all day, but now I've got like 2 part-time jobs and this and that. I'm making 3 things. Like I'm almost never... And somehow, despite sleeping about 5 hours a day, not at the same time, I'm always asleep during my entire clock if it's less than 5 hours. So I now need a 24-hour window. But again, it's about your league. Like you're saying here, you're adjusting for who's playing and how available they can be.
Yeah, well, and it also depends on whether it's a live draft or if it's a slow draft. Like if it's a slow draft, I'm with you. I think probably at least 8 hours, because I feel like with like a stop time. If it's a live
time overnight,
if it's a live draft, you gotta have time to allow for trading. You do, because in rookie drafts, if you're in a solid dynasty league, a league that is going to continue, it's probably got a bunch of active owners. There may be some trading. Eventually, hopefully, there will be, as your league progresses. So 5 minutes is quick. 5 minutes is great for a redraft where you're not trading. Boom, 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 boom. You can make a pick and go, or even if you go less than that. But with a rookie draft where there's potential to trade, there's potential to wheel and deal. I'm in a home league. We do a live draft, like live in person, and we don't have a timer. We don't have like a set time. But you can kind of tell if nobody's making trades, if nobody's making moves, you're like, all right, get up and make a pick. And if you are engaged in trade talks, then the timer goes a little longer. So that's a really long-winded way of saying Peter was right. It really depends on your league and kind of how things are set that way.
I don't understand not wanting the timer to be an issue. It's like in exams, I never understood, even as a teacher, why the clock had to feature. Like, why not give more than enough time to finish? If you know what I mean? Like that, it feels like I get it. You're on the clock, or someone else is on the clock, and you just want to make your pick. But like, you get all that happens when you've made your picks is it's done. And I get the impatience, and you want to see what your team's going to look like. But then it's just done. And it feels like if you could keep that in mind, you can keep your frustration level down. And I know I play with players like John Bosch who are going to extract every inch of gamesmanship that they can out of their clock and everything else in their league. But like, that's not something they're doing. You're allowed to do that too. It feels like making the clock a pressure is just costing you it ultimately, even though it might feel better if ticks are picking by. Ultimately, you're just losing more edges. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's whatever your league finds fun. Don't make it not fun just by because you want the picks to go faster or what. Jahan to the moon in Scary Terry leaves. Yeah. No, I'm naming then. I'm trying to respect Jahan Dotson's draft capital. I really am. I'm trying to get better at it. I've got him ranked reasonably and everything else. But when it comes down to it for my teams, like, it doesn't look like a hit to me. I've been surprised before, and I will continue to miss. But he just doesn't look like he should co-opt the volume and score the fantasy points to make him consistently relevant fantasy football player. Neither did Tim McLaurin, but not for the same reasons. And again, I don't think so.
Yeah.
His draft capital says so, and I don't think so. And the NFL spends millions, so maybe I should shut up. But you're asking me. That's where I'm at. I got some low-key banger tight end potential. Got it. How is got it low-key? 2 top 12 seasons. It's like Mike Gesicki again. Albert O. I thought Parnham, Tonyan. I like the Tonyan. Parnham's okay. Otten. K.
He's a rookie.
Right?
Yeah.
K. Yeah. Need to trade Albert O, I think. Yeah. That's where I'm at. I don't think Albert O is low key. I think at least a month ago, he was everyone's favorite tight end breakout candidate. I think Cole Kmet's more likely. Not a lot, but more likely with less hype. So I was going that way. Goddard is a little bit too low key, and Tonyan. Everyone else, like their early career, I'm not so sure.
Yep. Oh, if it's not tight end premium, trade them all. Whatever.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Sell them.
Sorry.
Chancellor Salts can eventually become tight end 1. I mean, I have no way of measuring that, but for me personally, it's 0. I don't think he's ever tight end 1.
Yeah, like the tight end 1? No.
Yeah.
Like a tight end 1? Yeah, he has
Top
been
12?
already.
Yeah, he has been already. Top 5, I even consider that. Like, it would be... I don't think he has difference-making potential. I think he's Mike Gesicki, but with people get more excited that they can become something that they haven't been before. No.
Yeah.
But he's fine. He's good. T. Higgins or DK Metcalf?
I might want Higgins here.
Yeah, it's Higgins. I think.
I don't like that I want Higgins there, but I think I might want Higgins there.
I think Higgins has surpassed him by this point. Yeah, Higgins is wide receiver 7 in Dynasty.
That seems high, but yeah,
DK Metcalf plus for Higgins. I'll take the DK Metcalf side. Otherwise, you're just preaching to a choir a little bit. This is what I was talking about a few weeks ago, where everyone kept telling me that everyone else is too low on T. Higgins, but you go look at his redraft rank and his dynasty rank, and they're all like top 7. It's like, who is this one guy that everyone's trying to own right now? And we all want to like Higgins more than everyone else, but we kind of can't because everyone likes him. So I'll like him less. There you go. I don't think he's a top 12 wide receiver. I said it. Come at me, bro. I'm the guy who's too low, apparently. Paul Cicero, I've got a great young wide receiver core, 2 QB league. Should I try to improve QBs or RBs next?
In a 2 quarterback, go 2 quarterback. A running back should always be your last piece.
Yeah, that's the answer. Traylon Burks and a 23-second or Devontae Smith and a first. Smith and a first for me.
First, yep.
And again, if it was any if the excitement for Traylon Burks had been sucked out of me with a vacuum, even though I still have him as a wide receiver 1, most years I'd be like Jamar Chase and the second. Screw that second year player. It's just not that kind of year, so I'm on the Smith on the first side.
Yep.
Who's your dynasty running back 2 overall, and how excited are you that it's fair enough.
You're going to be too low. You're going to be too low. He's by this time next year, he'll be running back 1.
Yep. Honestly, yeah, that's where I think the next great top 5. I think that's where the guys we want for Andre Swift are going to come from. It's the next few drafts. Maybe it is very next draft. And I know you're joking, but I'm going to answer the question because I'm just anally compulsive like that. Najee Harris is my running back 2. So, yeah. I'm reasonably excited, man. Bob says Higgins, so does everyone else. Higgins over DK, so does everyone else. This is not a take. But hey, Bob, let's see. In 14-team Superflex, what QBs would you target with 2 mid-late 23 first? Would still have my own, but QB2 is Mariota. 14-team league, Superflex, you need quarterbacks matter even more. Would you target 2 mid to late 23 first? Would still.
He's saying that you could trade 2 first to get a quarterback.
It really depends on who, though. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
Mid to late 23 first. It would really depend on who. Very few would get that value from me, though. Even in a 14 team. Like, I'm not trading that for Goff.
No.
I mean, if the league is really smart and it's holding Cousins there, maybe it's probably as low as I go. Cousins, Carr. Maybe.
We're in a really weird spot with quarterbacks, though, because you've got the top 5, and then you've got a whole bunch of young guys who are being valued high, but they haven't produced yet. And then everybody who's produced is like 33 or older.
Yeah.
And so it's just weird. I don't love where we're at in the state of quarterbacks.
No, and the thing is about those young guys, like I want to be in on Mac and I want to be on Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. But it feels like we've got our breakouts. Like we're looking at the guys that in 10 years from now we're going to be like, oh no, they're aging out. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Herbert,
right,
Mahomes. Like that's the crew. We've feels like we've had our
so I guess is the answer Dak, because he's like the one guy who's in
yes.
between.
Yes,
because he's 28.
That's a good one.
But he's also been a producer.
Yeah, it's Dak. If it's Dak, we'll do it. I'm going to tell him that. Nicholas, I'm out of trade ideas. Want to trade Abo to the Hollywood owner for Hollywood? Yeah, you're going to need to add a first, and you're not going to want to. 24 first for Hollywood? Yeah, I'd do that.
And yeah, the third doesn't matter. So whatever.
There you go. 12-team half PPR. Devontae Adams and 24 seconds, or Cortland Bateman and a 24 first. I want the second side, the Bateman and the first and the Cortland.
Yeah, and it's a matter of getting out on Adams a year or two early than a year too late when he doesn't have this value.
And I can't say this enough. This is what I've heard every year, but this year might be actually a good time to do it. If you're trying to get out a year early, it's the wide receivers this year. And it's not that Adams can't still be great, because he's one of those dominant players, which usually has me arguing for team old guy, and you can win by drafting the old guys and you're still relevant for 3 years. But I think we're hitting the end, and I could be wrong because we haven't seen the future, the end of a certain era of wide receivers' career arc. And I think we're going to start to see some of them drop off. So, yeah, Cortland Bateman in the first for me. What is Aj Dillon worth in a 12-team Superflex? Second round pick. Probably have to add something to it, but if you get it for that, then I think it's pretty solid. Like add a player, add a favorite sleeper or someone's Jarvis Landry. Second and Jarvis Landry would get him from Zach, for example. And that
throw Gabe Davis at him.
Oh, yeah, get him straight up. Nicholas J. Is Godwin no. Is Godwin a buy right now for a rebuild team? I know he's 26, coming off an injury, but I don't know. I don't know what to even offer. I've got a fourth this year and a fourth next year, but I don't know what to offer.
I would not throw a first at him right now.
No, there's this section in Dynasty where we like to think about ranks and team old and team young, but there's a nuanced gray area in everything. Godwin's value arc is done. He has no value. Like, I think he's going to come back this year and probably be pretty decent, actually, with Tom Brady. But then we've got will Tom Brady come back? Will Godwin still play? Will Godwin be on this roster? Will Tom and Godwin be on the same roster? And by which time we've got those answered, he's 27, 28. Like, I think his value's done. You've got to treat him like a points player. And if you're treating him like a points player, his points are going to suck this year. Not that per game he might not still be good, and I think he should be. A little exaggerated. I don't think he's more like a Deontay Johnson. He's been top 12, but he's not a top 12 consistent performer. So I think his value, don't see him as a value option. It's when you need points, go trade for him. And you don't need points because you're thinking about value, right?
But I think this is a good time. So I agree with you, but I also think that this is a good time to go get him because he's not scoring anybody points right now. And so he's down a little bit. This is where, Nicholas, if you're a rebuilder where you say that you're a rebuilding team, I would be looking at my running backs. And I would be looking at somebody like Antonio Gibson or David Montgomery or whatever I've got for running backs. And I would see if, instead of trading those firsts, because those are what you're rebuilding with, trade.
That's what I'm. Yeah.
If you've got a running back that you can,
his value's too high.
Yeah. So that's what I would do.
You can't trade for his value, but if you can trade points away from him, then his points are going to still be there. I think in a year or two, top 15 at least.
Yep.
So yeah, trading running backs will be a way around that. Yeah. Good idea. See, I told you have one now and again. Bob, would you rather have pizza every night or never have pizza again? See, I don't think you put enough caveats on that. Like, I can still eat other stuff, right? You didn't say I could not eat other stuff. So I have to eat pizza every night, but then I can also have whatever I want.
You can put a lot of stuff on pizza, and you can make pizza out of a lot of stuff. There's a very wide definition of pizza. I mean, I've seen what they do in Chicago.
That's fair. I don't think I'm into pizza nearly enough or out on pizza nearly enough to have a strong opinion here. I'd be fine either way. I don't. Yeah, that's fine. I'd be good either way. If I never eat pizza again, I'd be fine. If I only eat pizza from here on out, yeah, it's fine. Because you can have such a wide definition of it. How old is Julius Chestnut? I've heard that name before. Where have I heard that name before? He has no age on Sleeper, and I can't find it on Google.
I have only heard of Joey Chestnut.
This might have been a player that I was looking up for precisely that reason. I'll find out if I find out for you and come back to you. I'm opening up my spreadsheet, though, to do that, so this whole thing might slow down. UGFE, undrafted free agent running back question. Kenny Brooks or Abram Smith? Abram Smith for me. I mean, yeah.
No.
I know. I
just no.
Do you like Kenny Brooks, though? You just don't want either.
I don't want either of them.
Yeah, they're both. That's the thing. I think they're both unlikely to produce, so I'll take the one I would find fun and that I would enjoy seeing something happen for. And that's a converted linebacker. Undrafted to, where was it? Saints? Feels like the Saints. Nothing. Waddle Higgins in a startup. Higgins.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, once a guy's ranked wide receiver 7 in Dynasty, like there's no like. I really think the idea anyone isn't too high on Higgins right now. I think it's actually time to start thinking of him as overranked. Elijah Moore or DJ Moore? DJ Moore.
Yes. Peter, we're in lockstep. I don't like it.
I know this is weird. Pickens or Dotson?
Pickens. Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Other than Gabe Davis, what players are you trying to trade before the season starts? That's actually a really good question. I actually started. I don't have Julius Chestnut's name. Age, by the way.
He was a high school senior in 2017. I don't know if that matters.
No. DeAndre Swift is probably as high as I go in the tiers and the rankings and the value list of a player I'm definitely interested in trading away. Pretty interested in that. There are so many. I don't know. I actually heard JJ Zacharyson on the Late Wayne podcast put something so succinctly. I was like, that's going to be my answer to a whole bunch of questions from here on out. You shouldn't be thinking about in terms of players that you want from other teams. You should be a lot more willing to trade for a lot more players. It's more about what your roster needs, I think is basically what he said. I am vamping as I look for my list right now, by the way. Zach? I thought I'd frozen for a second. All right. I think Austin Eckler is a trade-away target at running back. I think DeAndre Swift is a trade-away target at running back. I think Javonte Williams is a trade-away target at running back at his current value. At wide receiver, so I'm sticking top tier here. I'm not trying to give you easy names that are trying to trade away, and they're worth trading away because their value is probably better than their sustained upside right now. And at the wide receiver position, I'll give you the same answer I've been giving all night and for the last few weeks. It's older wide receivers that still have value. And that's rare for me. I know we hear it every year, but I don't say that every year. But it's the wide receivers drafted between 2013 to 2015. who still has some value. So it's Devontae Adams. Tyreek Hill kind of fits into that mix as well, and I'm always willing to trade Tyreek Hill away, to be honest with you. Michael Thomas still has some value, although it's definitely diminished right now. Keenan Allen, Mike Evans. In Dynasty, I'm interested in trading them away. And not that some of those names don't make very good values if you're looking for points, but in Dynasty, I'm trying to get out of them a year early. Is that succinct enough, or is that too broad?
That worked. I was efforting the Julius Chestnut birthday, and his mother, Nikki Chestnut, said, "Happy birthday! It's the big 21 on October 26, 2021." So he is 21. Will be 22 on October 26. On that list too.
There you go. I'm glad someone knew. If you're looking for easier players, like I easily trade away Gabe Davis, but I think league by league, you're going to find yourself not finding that value. I think that's where the truth is of those sleeper players. I think Mike Williams, he's a trade away for me right now as well. And I'm pretty comfortable doing that almost everywhere. Who else is in this range? No one. Most of the rookie wide receivers are in this range, actually. See, Gabe Davis is kind of being semi-ranked around Amon-Ra St. Brown and Darnell Mooney. DeAndre Hopkins as well, who would also trade away because he's aging out. But then it's Treylon Burks. That's why Gabe Davis is so easy to trade away. Like, there's no one else around him that's anywhere more of a buying a projection. Except for maybe Cortland Sutton, but I kind of buy into that a little bit.
That's going to be my answer, though, is I'm going to look down through the 2022 picks that I've made, and I will trade those guys away at what people are valuing now, especially the top 5 or 6. Man, I'll trade all of them for what people are valuing these players, because, again, I don't think that this class has the high-end talent that a lot of these other classes that we've seen recently have had.
That's fair. All right.
You want to see Julius Chestnut baby picture? I got you right there.
You can always trade away tight ends, but thank you. What are we doing with Watson in Dynasty? This was like a subject of a lot of questions last episode. I mean, you can do what you want, to be honest with you. I think if we're just talking pure objectively, you got to hold right now. If he's on your roster, you hold. That's it. Yep. If you find it morally repugnant to roster him, you can trade him away for whatever you damn well choose. And honestly, that's where Russ is at. And I feel it. I don't roster him anywhere, so I don't have to make the decision. It wasn't a personal stance. I just don't have him anywhere. But I would if it made me feel uncomfortable. I tell you right now, in best ball drafts, he's plummeting. He's at the top of the draft board every round after round 7, and no one takes him, and neither do I. No. But I think those are more personal choices than anything else. But if we're talking purely objectionable, no, purely objective, you kind of have to hold what. At some point, he gets on the field, probably. It's the NFL. And it's a top 5 QB again, and that's when you would have the value enough, because he's dropped. Like a month ago, the value was there, and now it's not. Cousins or Rashad Bateman? Superflex? Cousins.
It's got to be Superflex, because if it not...
Any other situation,
not, yeah.
Bateman. Cute hairdo, Pete. Appreciate that. Yeah, my wife ran out with a pair of scissors about a week ago. 38 watching and 2 likes. Hit that like button, fellas. You fooled me into reading a promo, Grant. I appreciate that. Well, not a promo, but you know what I mean. Bruce Matson, not getting David Bell over this guy, homie.
Bruce knows.
ETN or Akers? For me, it's even now. I've come up on Akers a little bit.
But I think ETN's going higher. Higher. I'm taking ETN, and then I'm trading both of them. These are 2 other guys that I'm probably trading before the season, because people are going to be way more excited than I am about them.
I think that's fair. What are your thoughts on Zamir White?
He is a running back. Look, he's but not a pass catching running back. No, not a pass catching running back. My comp to him was he runs like a mudslide. He's just like inexorably downhill and pushes piles and does that sort of thing. The chance that he's a lead back, but it'll be a committee backfield. So, like I don't think he's as talented as Josh Jacobs. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm just checking because sometimes I put notes in weird places, but as far as I can tell, I tried to make notes for as many players as I could, but I just didn't feel like it was them right. It's like, yeah, he's a running back.
See?
He's pretty much a running back. Yeah, nothing stands out particularly. Sorry. He's going to be in the NFL and he's a running back. That's cool. Sorry.
I had him as my running back 8
AJ
in this
Brown
class pre-draft.
Yeah. AJ Brown and Barkley for Swift Sutton. What side you got? AJ Brown and Barkley.
Barkley and Brown. Yeah.
Excitedly. I'd be a little too excited for that one. 16-team Superflex trade Trevor Lawrence for Garrett Wilson and Waddle. Oh, he traded. And then flipped Wilson for a high 23 first. So that's Waddle and a high 23 first, presumably for Trevor Lawrence.
I think you
in a Superflex.
In a 16-team Superflex, it's Lawrence. It is.
Yeah, you did pretty well with the cascading here to get.
If you can,
but you're projecting that.
Yeah, if you can get a quarterback with that 23 first, then you're happy about it. But that's a lot of if.
There's some if in there. Otherwise, I'd be a little more. Yeah, you did pretty well. But Wilson looks decent. That wasn't nearly as hopeful as I was trying to be. And it's 23 first, so you know. Dynasty Dummies, a Dynasty Grind. Both agreed.
Also, the Dynasty Happy. Whatever. What? Crossroads,
trade
baby.
Chubb,
that's what I meant.
Chubb, Watson, and a 23 first for Akers, Diggs, a 23 second, and a 23 third.
Chubb, Watson, 23 first, Akers, Diggs, 23 second. I'd rather have Chubb than Akers.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have Diggs than Watson. But a 23 first and Watson is pretty close to Diggs.
It's pretty even.
Yeah,
It's pretty even. So it kind of depends on what situation your team's in. I think 7 times out of 10, I just prefer having Stephon Diggs. And Akers has some upside. Maybe he could be Chubb one day. I don't think so, but he could. It's not outside the realm of possibility. Well, Zach, it's not like he has to be Chubb. We're talking points, right?
We're gonna have to disprove another Chubb.
Mike Pisa and Ricky Henderson or Greg Maddox and George Brett.
Maddox is my guy. Joe, Maddox is my guy.
Silence for Lamb, I don't understand your Ayuk over Claypool take, as Claypool outproduced Ayuk by a mile in their rookie year, and even outproduced him in year 2.
Touchdowns.
Claypool greater than Ayuk. Well, part of it's touchdowns. Also, where are you getting the idea that Claypool outproduced Ayuk in their rookie years? Like, Ayuk had league-leading rookie yards per run, and he was at 15 points per game. I don't think Claypool was better than that one.
I would have to go back and look, Peter. You're the numbers guy.
Yeah, I don't remember numbers so much. Just look them up pretty frequently. You gotta remember that kind of thing. I've got everyone I need open but the right one. That makes perfect sense. Claypool was touchdown dependent, and Ayuk wasn't. Also, Ayuk's. That's what I was talking about his points per game last year. It was low, but in the way that Juju Smith-Schuster was low, but still finished as a top 24 wide receiver that one year because he came on down the stretch with Deebo Samuel still on the field. And I think the offense had some rebalancing to do once they found out Deebo was going to be healthy for the year.
even in points per game as rookies, Ayuk outscored Claypool by
by a lot, right?
almost 2 points a game.
Yeah. So you can go back and forward on what's productive and what's not, but in the ways that I look at it, like, yeah, Ayuk was a lot better and more impressive in his rookie season, and last year he suffered a downturn, but for obvious reasons, whereas Claypool didn't downturn, he just nothing. he just lost his touchdowns, and it turns out that's all there was there. Whereas Brandon Ayuk was still heavily involved in the offense and fairly productive. It did drop 10 points per game, which is, again, why I was trying to jerry-rig him in there, although fairly, he should be a less likely breakout. Then I'd like him to be, because I just think that average is hiding some of the upside based on his rookie season. The sophomore model, which is meant to rank a per attempt basis for overall performance. Claypool's he's like literally hit a 13 both career years.
Yeah, and his rookie year was buoyed by, he had 9 receiving touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. That's just
Brandon Ayuk was over 14.9. I remember that's measured in points per game, so there's the same 4 points per game difference, but that's measuring how well they performed on a per touch basis rather than their actual points. So again, it's another way of removing the touchdowns and looking at their actual performance. I mean, again, hit me back with what you're using to describe as productive, but this is literally the opposite of how I view how they've been. Ayuk was better as a rookie, and last year he was better as a sophomore, even though both did suffer downturns. Should I move off of Damien Harris? If so, what would him and a 23 second get me realistically? It's one of those questions. Like, if you can get something decent for Damien Harris and a 23 second, then yes. But I don't see a big reason to move off of him. He's fairly valued, if you know what I mean. But if you can get Rashad Bateman for that, sure. If you can get, that's the question. It's what the trade is. There's no reason to bail out of him. It's not. And usually I only have those takes about people that are valued a lot higher. Like, outside the first 50 picks, the idea you have to get out of a player is kind of ludicrous. We don't know what's going to happen. But I'll say that about someone like DeAndre Swift, because he can still be great and not quite return the value he currently has. So yeah, that's the way I'm answering that. There's no reason to get out of him, but if you can get something decent, I don't think I'm scared to trade a Damien Harris. Who would you rather have? Sorry.
No, I was going to say Harris is probably a player that if I'm competing, I would look to trade for, because I think he's undervalued.
I don't actually know his value right now.
He's going.
Where is his value?
Running back 33, which is wild.
Okay.
So right around Kareem Hunt, Chase Edmonds. So
I'd like him
behind Tony Pollard.
Why are we so?
Because he's a Patriots running
Hunt
back.
Remarkably low there. No, Hunt.
Yeah.
It feels like Hunt's been a lot more productive than all of those guys so far.
Hunt's always ranked low because he's a backup. He's the number 2 in a backfield. He produces great, but
feels like you'd want to target him over Harris. That's kind of where what do you like more?
Yeah, I think so. But
I have no strong opinion here. Take whichever running back you want. I was just curious all right. I think Damien Harris is probably fine as his value. Zach finds him a little undervalued even. So
yeah, but
would you rather have your keep?
I might try to take that second with Damien Harris and try to get Elijah Mitchell, because I think the upside with Mitchell is there.
Oh, yeah. But I didn't even know that was on the cards. See, that's the thing about this question. Yes, it really depends on the trade. I can tell you Elijah Mitchell would be a really strong trade candidate right now. So would Sanders, so would CEH. They're slightly above.
Yep.
And undervalued, and so that would be a good way of trading him up for lower value players who are still undervalued. But if you can't get any of them, I think you're good with Harris too. You don't trade him just because you're
right.
Panic. His value is not that high. Would you rather have... who would you rather have for your QB1 in a Superflex? If you go with Chase Jefferson round 1 and you've got to choose between Hurts and Lance. I don't really stack in Dynasty or nothing, so it doesn't affect me. And I have Hurts ranked above Lance, so I'd take Hurts.
Yep, I'm with you on that one.
Like who I'm rostering at wide receiver doesn't overly affect my QB rankings. Is Travis Kelce worth a 23 first?
Probably not, but if you're contender, competitive, no. Yeah.
Nah, this isn't the year to go in on team all guys in the receiving positions, I don't think. Otherwise, normally I'd be like, yeah, you're going to be there for years. But his points are probably worth it. But 9 times out of 10 in Dynasty, probably not right now. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Great day so far. Hey, Joe. How you doing? Ramondre the Rhino Stevenson was once... That's a good name. The most explosive 10-plus yard runs, hardest to tackle, highest juke rate, and he's natural pass catcher working on his right. You see, this is the analysis people tune in for. The fact that I can get the right players without knowing any of that shit, honestly, has always surprised me. But yeah, that sounded much better. It sounds better. I can understand why people like hearing that stuff. Sounds great. Makes me feel better. He's got serious upside if Harris is out. Does he need Harris to be out?
Yes.
This is the part where I always get twisted up at running back. Like, I can't get that in my head. Like, no, that's have players, but at running back, yeah, that's kind of how it works. San Francisco startup auction. You like Tua for 11% of auction budget.
We need John Bosch.
John Bosch. In a Superflex, I think a quarterback costing 11% of your auction budget isn't terrible at all. Tua has a lot of upside. That feels like where his auction budget price should be. I was introduced to an auction tool on DLF, but I haven't had time to get through it yet. But yeah, that seems fair. But I would go ask John Bosch. Just be safe. If it were me, I'd trade Gabe Davis, ASP, and every rookie wide receiver plus a pick. I would trade him for his current value very, very easily, or close to it, for that matter. Antonio Gibby Gibson is an American football running back who plays for the Washington Commanders. In 2022, he broke the all-time season single season rushing record.
This is like fantasy football.
Yeah. I got Walker, Zamir White, Burks, Wilson, Pickens, Bell, Shakir, John Ross, someone called Gray. Rebuilding team. Loves these rookies. I hate them. I hate all of them. I mean, Burks. Yeah. Bell.
You got Bell, Pickens. Good luck.
Here's the thing. This class's value is adjusted, so there are 2 or 3 good players at every position in this class, and you got a lot of them, so you got a good chance as a rebuilding team because the price was down. I just hate this class. Ayuko Mooney. Good question.
I want Mooney, but it's close.
Yeah. I want to want Mooney. I want to want Mooney more. Realistically, I should. But I'm like, Ayuk is so young, and I've been a Dynasty player for so long. It's hard to ignore. Yeah, the answer is Mooney. But I really like Ayuk. I think they're in a similar value tier right now, though, right?
Yeah, I think they're close.
Yeah. Mooney over Ayuk. I don't think a lot of people have realized that, though, which is why I'm like, could I get a plus? I think maybe you can get a plus for Mooney, but maybe I'm wrong.
Actually,
wide receiver 1 for a team.
Mooney's wide receiver 31. Ayuk is 41. So there's almost a full round in between them.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, I want to say Ayuk, but I've been twisted up by breakouts. I just can't answer these questions anymore. Look, let's see. Donald Mooney is actually in a fairly high hit rate category right now. Like 64% of players who break out into the top 12 has had his kind of production. He's over the points per game threshold last year of what most, like 70% of players who break out into the top 12 are. 57% common in terms of a player breaking out into the top 12 in his particular career year. We have been hitting them kind of hard, 15% above average, but even adjusted for that, he's got the same breakout potential, how I'm currently calculating it, and it's not right yet, but as CeeDee Lamb and Michael Pittman. And like Zach said, there's a round difference right now.
Yeah.
I do kind of think Ayuk is really interesting right now, though. Fan Football 2023, Waller or Pitts?
Yeah. Even in 2022, yes.
Yeah. It's a redraft take at this point.
Mooney is okay.
Joe likes kind of funny, even though it's not.
Joe likes Ayuk. And that's fine.
Man. I think Ayuk is one of those things the broad numbers just miss, but it could that's peering at eggshells. Truthfully, you should probably like Mooney more. But Ayuk's on a better team. You want the wide receiver 2 on a good team, surely, than the wide receiver 1 on
But he's not the wide receiver 2 because Kittle is there and Debo is there, which makes him the wide receiver 3. and if Lance is as bad as you think he is, then yeah.
I don't think I think his floor is sometimes not factored into his value. Connor, how much do you have Chase Jefferson worth in a startup? 3 first-round picks. There's no player that isn't tradable for 3 first-round generic picks. Generally. 3 future first-round picks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if it's like if we're talking like where you draft them in a startup, like if it's a super flex, there are maybe 5 quarterbacks that I take, and then we're going
Chase Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Yeah. There's no running back over them in my overall ranks.
No.
Put it that way. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, in this league, with a lot of guys that cross over in some other insanely high tight end premium leagues, Ertz is usually gone at least round 7 ever.
Yeah. That's fair.
Brevin Jordan's getting a lot of hype. It feels like I'd sell it if someone approached me trying to get him, though.
Yeah.
It's like the new Gerald Everett. Pato. Jacobs. I probably murdered that name. I apologize. But Jacobs and a second in 23 for ETN. Yeah, ETN. Right?
Yep.
ETN.
Yep.
Those last, my questions introduced are strategic. Okay. I did indeed draft David Bell. You're good then. After Christian Watson, that's why I drafted all those running backs. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
It was an insane
I think you reached with Watson, but Watson at 8 is high for me. Eric.
Here's the thing. If Watson didn't have a bad news blurb, like I was trying to figure this out.
No, Christian Watson. Christian Watson. Not Deshaun.
No. Yeah, Christian Watson. Isn't it the Green Bay saying he's a pick for the future, the thing that's really depressing him right now?
I guess.
I'm usually trying to avoid news blurbs. I feel convinced it was you telling me that Christian Watson was going to be more valued before the draft, and now it feels like you've gone down on him.
No,
sorry, I meant your enjoyment of his potential has shrunk.
No, I told you that he was going to go higher. So my evaluation of him was like he scored highly, but in stupid things, like not in a way of players that I like. And so like he had a high grade from me, but it felt empty. And I thought that he was going to go in the second round of the NFL draft. And I thought that he was going to go high in rookie drafts. And you've kind of seen that happen. I mean, he went, where did he go? He was pick 34 overall, was the second pick of the second round.
It's a really early second round pick going in the late first round of rookie drafts. That feels kind of appropriate. I know. Here's the thing. Like, I want to believe in Alan Lazard so hard, but I don't. Which means that Christian Watson would be the most likely outside of like Sammy Watkins,
Randall Cobb,
Cobb having done it before.
Yeah,
but where a dynasty we usually lean youth, and if you weren't so like meh on him, I'd feel a lot more like you like Romeo more, right?
No, I like Watson better than Dubs.
At his value.
Dubs at his value, because I mean I think you're getting Dubs in like the third or fourth round of rookie drafts. Like Dubs is going late. The J Mike liked Dubs, and so and liked him a lot, and so that's one of those things that like I really trust J Mike's evaluation. So like I will take shots on guys later that he loved. But I got a bunch of Waddle because J Mike was like, Waddle is my wide receiver 1 in this class, and so I ended up with Waddle in like the late first, just because that was J Mike's evaluation, and I didn't have a strong take on Waddle until he ended up with Tua, who needed a quick option, a quick release valve. But I don't know. Christian Watson is going to be interesting in Green Bay because I feel like Aaron Rodgers is similar to Brady with young wide receivers, where he does not give a lot of leeway. Like he wants you to be where you're supposed to be and make a play. And that's a hard situation to come into for a guy who's as raw as Watson. But
fair enough. Non-PPR, Hall or Walker? I'm still going to say Hall because I don't know how that adjustment affects it too much, but I don't think the receptions are the only reasons that receiving running backs finish top 12. Like, I don't expect Kenneth Walker to be Derrick Henry, which means he doesn't get into that level of production, even as a good rusher in the Seahawks. Like, I just think the Seahawks can't do it.
Yeah.
Am I too wrong on that? Feels like the easy answer would be Walker because he's a rusher, but I don't think he's that. I think it's still Hall. I'll take my lumps if I'm wrong. Loads of last, Peter. Why don't you like Pearson Houston? I don't like pure situation takes. And it's not because it's not like they are not right sometimes. It's just I want to bet on this player is good. Or this player has a lot of comparable traits to good players. Just he's on a roster and there's no one else. Just feels like who got to blame if that doesn't go right? Like I knew he wasn't good. I just thought that I knew what the team was going to do. And I'd rather take lumps for not being able to evaluate a player than, betting on that. That's why it's not a particularly deep take. It's just, I don't like it. Makes sense. It's not for me. Can I get Bateman for a 23 second and a 23 third? No.
I don't think you can. Especially since somebody just paid a first for him last year. And he had a decent rookie year.
No, I don't know what this means. Sorry, I ran it through the few gray cells I've got, but I don't know what Lindor means here. Yeah, Bateman's
could be chocolate.
First. 2 seconds? I mean, if the 23 seconds, you might find someone out there thirsty enough. It is the time where people start trading for the seconds, I guess. I would do that, though. I think I'd give 2 seconds up for Bateman right now. Reese Peanut Butter Cup and Fast Breaks are my go-to. God, we're far behind.
We're an hour behind. Let's go.
Gelato Frisco. Let's go.
Gelato Fiasco. Yes, BJ knows. BJ knows. He's the Brunswick guy.
I have Mahomes, Tua, Cousins, Mariota, running backs Najee, Jacobs, Hunt, and Madison. Should I trade Cousins for like a running back in a Superflex?
No.
I mean,
no. You may end up playing Mahomes and Cousins.
Yeah, he's thinking he's my third QB, and no, I would keep rostering 3 unless someone offered you like immense value. I trade Mariota plus something for a running back, sure. Kelsey for Elijah Moore plus the 107 seems fair. Kind of premium. Yes, a 22 107. Yeah.
I still think Kelsey's going to score you points.
That's the side I'm leaning. It's fair to get Kelsey.
Oh, yeah. I would give up Elijah Moore to 107 for Kelsey without too much hesitation.
Yeah. I had a little hesitation, but I'm still taking that Kelsey side. I have Knox and Muth.
I think he's trading Kelsey.
He is. That's why he's telling me he's got Knox and Muth. Just keep Kelsey.
Keep Kelsey, because I think he's going to score more points. Like play them in your flex. Play Kelsey in your flex, and have a great tight end in your flex. Like,
I would add the 107 to Knox and go get what I could. I'd add Elijah Moore to Knox and the 107 and go get what I could. But I'd keep Kelsey and Muth. I think, those are the dynasty assets.
I would trade Knox. I would trade Knox out of these three because I think he is still valued highly. But I think Freiermuth is actually better. I think Knox has been buoyed by touchdowns.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that Gabe Davis is going to score all the touchdowns in Buffalo. So
there'll be none left after Gabe Davis gets done. And Baker Slander has gone too far. To be fair,
bottom third is just outside the top 24, and he's outside the top 24. Sorry, Joe.
Zach has been... I don't think it's slander. This is Zach just holding his... He's been saying this exact same thing about Baker Mayfield since when he was drafted.
Yeah.
It just seems like a slow slide towards us all agreeing with him, and then it'll be like, told you. And so I'm just going in early. Yeah, Zach was probably right. I love the undrafted storylines, and the fact Baker Mayfield was like a walk-on. Like, that's all I really knew about him because I don't evaluate quarterbacks much. Like, I love that. But yeah, it's time to... I think just give that up. Bottom third, Zach. QB's drafted 101 with one of the best rookie seasons. How was that measured? Before two brutal shoulder injuries derailed the next season, aren't on bad QBs. Maybe not great, but definitely not bad. Is that what happened to Mayfield? Am I just...
He's just not very good.
Okay. Also, Baker takes losing and people doubting him very personally. Yeah, again, we're venturing into, can I untangle the psychology of another human being, even if I had them in the room with me and spent 20 years talking to them? Probably not. So, I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Mr. Mayfield. I don't know him.
I want him to be good. It would be awesome.
He's gone into the NFL.
Yeah.
He should be pretty proud of what he's done, in my opinion. I don't use timers in my league other than impatience when someone is taking too long. I get your feeling, John, but the problem with not having any timer means that it's arbitrary and that can cause conflict. I do like setting some sort of, we'll go to the exams again. We could set, final exams could be 3 hours long. So I wrote an exam that I felt pretty confident was a 45-minute exam, and then I gave them the full 3 hours. It's not like I'm not going to set a time limit, but I'm trying not to make it part of the pressure of taking the exam. And I kind of feel the same way about draft timers. But again, it's whatever you enjoy in your league. And your league mates enjoy, obviously. In a startup, I traded the 102 Mahomes for the 201, the 312, 601, 912. I ended up getting Watson, Waddle, Godwin, Ertz, respectively. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, theoretically, especially at the time, I'm guessing this was a good trade. Objective as I can be about it, but you are playing the waiting game when you do something like that, because Watson's going to have to play again at this point before his value bounces back up. I like timers because I know what I want and who I trade with. I think it's people who are a lot more confident, a lot more certain of what they're trying to do, who can be more impatient. But then when suddenly you need some time to think, it feels like a good thing to have some time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Tanner Morris, and I'm definitely more uncertain on almost all situations, so I like the time. I did lose draft capital, so I say it's a win, especially with the other QBs that fell lower than normal drafts.
Yeah.
Hey, man, if you like it, you're good. And you got some good wide receivers there, so your value is pretty strong. Rarely am I totally surprised at my league's ADP. I'm constantly surprised, to be fair. I don't know what it's like to live with that level of certainty. Gabe Davis, yeah, Stiggs. Come on.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Hawkinson or Gesicki? Basically, Andrews, Hawkinson, and Gesicki with this tight end premium wild boost. I mean, my ranks don't change with tight end premium. That's kind of why I mark it. And Andrews, Hawkinson, Gesicki is exactly the order I would have him in. Baker gets traded to Carolina. I think we answered this earlier. I don't think it's a big enough bump to have largely different expectations. we're actually not sure Baker would win the job. Any tight ends outside the top 5 you would value as a flex in a league where you don't have to start any tight ends. Kelsey. Yeah, maybe Pitts. That's why they're the top 2 in Dynasty right now.
Yeah.
Actually, Andrews is up there in the top. I think Kelsey might have fallen to 3rd. I don't think Andrews has got that certainty of flexibility.
I mean, that's one where you go sort your league by points and look at, where they fall.
Yeah.
But it probably is. It's probably Andrews, Kelsey, maybe Pitts, maybe Kittle.
Got ladder of Godwin for a 1st and a 2nd in 23.
Win.
Yeah, that's a good trade. For the last year, that would have been a good value.
Yep.
Yep. Joe would eat the pizza. I'd be fine eating the pizza. Should I be moving off Damon Harris? I think we answered this earlier. Sorry it took us so long to get to some of these. I mean, I think if you're tearing up, yeah, he's a player you can do that with, but his value is kind of fine. A little undervalued. Fine. 12 team Superflex contender. QBs Lamar, Watson, Matt Ryan, who's underrated right now in redraft at least. Should I trade a 23 first plus for Brady? You don't need
No, not for 1 year, Brady.
No. Borderline playoff team. Trade Najee for Pitts. Yes. Painful. Look, if you're competing, you don't need to do it. Najee is probably just keep Najee, but Dynasty, general, you should probably get Pitts. Night, Joe. Good night, Jahan. Yeah, same. Buck traded a 23 first plus a 25 first for
Jameson Williams.
But then he says
Javonte Williams. Jameson Williams.
Okay, yeah.
Different Williams.
MVS, Rondo Moore, Pierre Strong, and Gronk. I know I overpay, but Mixon, Barkley, Fournette, and J. Will should smash everyone's faces in 12 Super Bowl. I like the energy. There you go. And I'm okay with trading Javonte Williams' value. You got 2 firsts on the deal. It's fine. 12 team, 1 QB PPR. Give James Conner. We're back to the Dynasty Grind. Or Melvin Gordon and a 23 second. Take the side with a second on it.
Yeah, that's probably
and the old running back. They're talking to each other. I get to skip that. Barkley, Elijah Mitchell, 23 first for Hall.
I'd rather have first Mitchell and Barkley by a lot.
Wow. Yeah, that's way wow.
Like Barkley and Hall is a conversation. I'd rather have the 23 first than Hall. I would.
Elijah Mitchell for Hall, I'd probably rather have Hall.
Yeah.
Add any of those 2 together, let alone all 3. Joe thinks you should hold Connor, which is different than me. So. Barkley Mitchell and a 23 first for me. I'd be looking to trade. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Tim Shady, I have the 107 and took Garrett Wilson. Yeah, that's pretty good. Did I miss up because No, don't worry about that so much.
Take good players.
Take good players. I mean, you can trade them. That's the other thing. You can go away and trade Davis, maybe. Carter, maybe. No, probably not.
Yeah, I don't think you can trade Corey Davis.
I just
trade Elijah Moore.
Pickett or Ritter for 302 rookie pick this year. Pickett. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's low. I think most managers would prefer Ayuk over Claypool pretty easily. His value is rock bottom. Ayuk's still middling. I think so. Evening more, I would absolutely love to swap my Claypool for Ayuk. Yeah, right?
Yep.
It's just where it gets to Mooney, it's a little awkward. Look at Weaves. Look at him go. I love all these ones I'm getting to skip. Silence of the Lamb. Take the touchdowns out. Yeah. Okay. 2022, Claypool had 67 for 937. Ayuk had 60 for 748. That can't be right. There's no way that Claypool outscored him in touchdowns and didn't outscore him in points per game, but had more yards?
No. Well, because he's adding in rushing yards, right? So total yards from scrimmage, 889 for Claypool in 2020. He had 62 receptions for 873 yards. And I can probably find Ayuk if I really. Ayuk had 60 for 748.
Oh, here, I just have to look up the IDs. Sorry, hang on. Yeah, Ayuk had 748 and 834. God, the internet's running slow right now. I shouldn't be doing this much with it. Uh, 859 and 849. All right. So yeah, I did have more yards. Look at that. Sorry, this thing is killing me right now. Oh, well. Ayuk played 12 games his first year.
Yeah, that's why we did points per game, which like Ayuk scored 2 more points per game. Yeah.
That's how. I mean, and both played. If they're playing more than 8 games, it's more than 30 per game in at the NFL level. For college, you actually need a few more, but they don't play more than that, so it's worthless. Yeah, that's how that's happening. If you play,
yeah,
if you play 4 extra games and you get 200 extra yards on those 4 extra games, that's how it's happening. It's close. I don't understand how you get that. Ayuk outproduced him. He did on a per game basis, and both played over the number of games you need to play for per game uses to actually be more predictive than season long. Mooney or Amon-Ra. It's all in the same category with Ayuk, Mooney, Amon-Ra. I like all 3. So I go mostly based on value. Ranks are posted. How do I have them ranked? I think it's probably Ayuk, Amon-Ra, and Mooney. I'm quintessentially a dynasty player. I think you're right. I think I'm too low on Mooney.
Yeah, I think I'd go Mooney and St. Brown, but they were like real close, and then Ayuk is a little bit behind them for me.
That's fair. Thoughts on Judy or Tony?
And Tony.
Both feel like they're being drafted at value for their upside. I would believe in Judy's upside more than Tony's. Ultimately, if I can get a first for either of them, I'd take it. Like, Judy's been trying too long, and even with the Russell Wilson bump, I'm more likely to believe in Sutton at this point. Although I was opposite earlier in this offseason, to be honest with you, I just took the red flags for his off-field stuff. Honestly, that's how I broke the tie on him. Tony, same thing, but without the off-field stuff. Like, on a per attempt basis, he was phenomenal. He didn't play over the threshold to actually per game it, though, or per attempt it. And so I think he's a small sample trap. But right now, he hasn't been adjusted up for that small sample trap, so he's fine. Connor, you heard your name? That's because we're just constantly saying Connor, constantly, when you're not looking. Thanks for that. Why doesn't Carson Wentz get more respect? Because he's been bad. I'm not going to talk about passer rating or if he's accurate or not. He's just fundamentally been bad for fantasy. We've continuously drafted him higher than he's ever produced. That's why we don't like it. As for evaluating talent, I don't do it much, and I definitely don't do it at quarterback. You got any large take? Is Wentz more talented than his production has been?
No, I think he's about that. I think the reason why people don't give Carson Wentz the respect is because they bumped him to quarterback 1 after his rookie year and drafted him like he was the quarterback 1. Yeah. And when people get hurt like that, this is what happens.
You don't forget it very easily. No.
Yeah.
That's fair. Where am There we go. 10-team Superflex. Which side? Carter and Marcus Brown or Damian Harris and Sutton? Sutton. I'm not sure I know who Marcus Brown is.
Marquise Brown. You know, Hollywood. Hollywood!
Hollywood. Right. Okay, that changes things. That's fine, though. I've made much worse mistakes. Just take Hollywood.
That's a push.
No?
I think it's a push. Yeah. I think you get a little more with Harris than you do with Carter, and you probably get a little more with Brown than you do with Sutton. Go with Hollywood. That's fine.
Thoughts on Dalton Schultz? I think we talked about him a little earlier. I think he's a top 12 tight end, which doesn't mean much, but he's startable. If he has value, I trade it. Usually at tight end outside of the top 1 or 2.
Peter hates.
Would you rather have 23 mid first or Deontay?
Probably Johnson right now. Well, because I like points. I think he'd be better in the points. If I'm not competing, then it's the first.
I think this is that situational dependent. Are you building? Does your team suck? Does your team not? Again, 7 times out of 10, I'd probably rather be rostering Deontay than the first, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Joe agrees. Look at us go. We got one right. Joe confirmed it.
Even
Deontay
better down the field.
Level up. Actually, I don't
Even
mind
better
that.
down the field. Deontay Johnson is really good down the field.
He played that in college more, if I remember right. Wasn't he a down the field receiver in college?
Yeah.
Yep.
Evans.
Of course, Pickett can't throw any further than Ben Roethlisberger, so we're good. Evans or Evans. I will. There's a value difference here, probably. No, actually, Mike Evans has fallen. Jerry Jeudy has increased, so they are pretty even. No, it's Evans because I'm trying to follow through my sell old wide receivers, and it's difficult because I'm not used to it. So, no, it's Evans. QBs, Mahomes, Lance, Watson. Do you guys think Lance will be legit? I think it is I think he's got a good shot to be clear. Like, he could seriously be one of those top 5 QBs. I think his value's fair right now, so I don't think you need to panic sell it or sell it because you can get 3 first or whatever. I don't think you can get another running back for his value that has that level of upside, put it that way. So, in that sense, I think he's legit. And I think Zach had a similar take. It's more about his potential than any level of quality or player evaluation we've done on him so far. Points per game is only a small sample trap if you're using a small sample to produce it. That's my personal stance on it. I think total points scored year over year is a more reliable indicator of running back success. It isn't if you adjust it for players who play more than 8 games. Then points per game is more reliable. But if players don't play more than 8 games, then points per game doesn't mean anything because it's a small sample trap. I mean, I'm not a stats whiz, not a statistician, but that's the way I've broken the tie on it for myself. If they play more, you don't even have to use the 8 game threshold. I used to use have touched the ball a certain amount. If you just want to filter by X number of rushing attempts or 50 targets, I find that a fair way to do it as well. It's just if they're seeing significant volume and you then points per game it, then it's more predictive or useful for looking for the following season. If you're including everyone else, then points per game still wins, but I think you're going to be fooled by small sample traps. Jordan McNamara uses total points scored for his base hit rates, and he's smart just like you, Peter. No, Jordan's smarter than me. I've written for his book twice. We've podcasted together a few times. Jordan's definitely smarter than me. He knows more about stats. Total points is useful. He's wrong if he doesn't think that small sample traps filtered out doesn't mean points per game or even yards per game is actually more useful. Just based on what I've looked at, again, he's smarter than me. He could come back with if you look at it this way, but I don't know what it is. So yeah, great show here, guys. Even if Ayuk is better than Claypool, we'll see you next week. Yeah, I think that's fair. Appreciate it. Judy or tear down to James Conner. I like tearing down, get production and get an addition, but I've become a lot more uncertain of Jerry Judy. That's what this episode has taught me. Every time Judy's names come up, I'm like, oh yeah, remember I was like really thought he was a buy like a month ago or so. And now I've moved more onto Sutton after researching more breakout trends. It's hard to value in these. We really have seen QBs and wide receivers switch QBs so rarely at the peak of their career that it's really hard to know. I'm really out on a limb when I say something's more or less likely. And that's why I've kind of come down on Judy, and I'm sticking to the fact Sutton's done it before, because I know a bigger sample where that's relevant. But yeah, sorry, what was your question? Do you trade Judy away for like Connor plus? Is that even? Judy to Connor? He hasn't added a plus.
No, he said plus. I think you get Connor plus for Judy. Old running back and a youngish wide receiver. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not particularly excited about getting Connor as a thing. Like, I don't know I'd do it if that's the trade.
Yeah.
So no one else? What would you trade Judy away for, not in picks, but if you were targeting a player? I guess that's the question. You're trying to get a plus on a player for Judy. We could look at ADP for that, I guess. And for that, I have a handy DLF tab open. So where the frick is Judy? Ace Runner's a wide receiver 26, below Marcus Brown.
Yep.
So Amon-Ra St. Brown is wide receiver 32. But he's looking at a running back, so let me expand here. If I'm looking for Leonard Fournette's below him, I'd do that for any plus. Elijah Mitchell's below him, I'd do that with any plus. Ezekiel Elliott's down here. I don't hate that, but I prefer the other two. Aj Dillon, there you go. I'd tear down to Aj Dillon plus anything for Judy. Or I'd do that straight up, actually. Judy for Aj Dillon, because that's in a similar upside if hit category in terms of their age. And Aj Dillon's RB25, James Conner's RB26, so you might not find the value that different. If you do, though, Miles Sanders is RB27. I would like that more than James Conner, too. Hope that helps for some ideas, if nothing else, too. Me too, Peter. Notice I have a ton of shares of Dynasty Planet, though. Yeah, still keeping some, but it's not a bad idea to diversify. I don't know why I do Bunny Rabbit is. I'm in like 7 leagues. I don't think I'm in enough to consider diversification necessary, but I do like to justify trading that way sometimes. Where are I? Joe. Can you do a video, Peter? I think I have. I'll try and post it. I'm trying to look it up now. I should start trying to look stuff up while I'm here, but yeah. I can, and the video isn't gonna not go watch my videos, but like I'll say in videos what I'm saying here, and all I can do is tell you what I found, and you have access to the data I used to find it. So fact check me for the love of God. I'm just an idiot. I play fantasy football and I use numbers. That doesn't mean I'm good at them, but I do try and be consistent and offer my data so people can fact check me when I say things. But yeah, I'll look for that video, but I'm pretty sure I've looked at why I think about it the way I do. In college, Matt Spencer actually wrote up a per game and when it's appropriate to kind of article for RotoViz. And I can post that again too on Twitter. Check my Twitter timeline. I'll post them after this show. Where he literally did like fancy stat things to find the limit of where you need games played before it's extra predictive. So that article might be even better than whatever particular video I spat out, but I'll look for him. In terms of predicting next year's success, yeah.
I'd take Brady in this one. I'd take Brady over the second in a 12-team Superflex. Peter, I'm powering down, buddy.
Radio 23. Yes, sir. We got to go. I know. I'll look for it, Joe, and get it out to you.
Look over there for
it. Getting towards the end, guys. Really appreciate you all. Sorry I kept Zach too long this time. We got to go. Appreciate it.